The winner of the 2022 AT&T Slam Dunk Contest from the New York Knicks. Let's hear it for Obi Toppin.
I figure I spread some love and some joy amongst us, you know what I'm saying? Represent for my young fella. I'm Obi. When I put this on your head, I'm Obi. When I smash this on your head, I'm Obi. When I bang this on your head, I'm Obi. You know my name when I'm topping on your head. Last year they jerked us from the dunk test. This year I'm back, you know I'm Movex. I hold it down my own, represent the city. All my Mars underground chat stay gritty. 5 times we winners on the showcase. Never mind the Reggies, let them all hate. From New York to Cleveland, that all-star weekend. If I don't win that trophy, I ain't leaving. I'm 6'9", incredible with the vertical. Medical prints on the rim means I'm surgical. Posterize you with a flick cause you playing gutter. Same house like my dad when he played at the Rucker. How you wanted the alley-oop from out the roof. If I was Blake, I would've jumped over a new coupe. My shoe game by the greatest, so I stay sporting. Some OB hot toppings, so I went Jordan. That windmill from the wing, it'll make the garden buzz. Then take off with one bounce where Fat Joe was. The next morning, everybody saying it's my night. The great Warner Wolf be talking on my highlights. That one jersey be swerving through the back cuts. And I ain't drunk when I tell Quick to throw it up. Get out my way, you ain't seen that no look pass. The next dunk, Mike Darryl talk and break the glass. When I put this on your head, I'm Obi. When I smash this on your head, I'm Obi. When I bang this on your head, I'm Obi. You know my name when I'm topping on your head, I'm Obi. When I put this on your head, I'm Obi. When I smash this on your head, I'm Obi. When I bang this on your head, I'm Obi. You know my name when I'm topping on your head. Last year they jerked us from the dunk test. This year I'm back, you know I'm Movex. I hold it down my own, represent the city. All my Mars underground chat stay gritty. 5 times we winners on the showcase. Never mind the Reggies, let them all hate. From New York to Cleveland, that all-star weekend. If I don't win that trophy, I ain't leaving. Y'all know what time it is, it's your boy J Boogie. I don't play no games with this, I support our team to the fullest, you know what I'm saying? But I only got one thing to say, play the young kids, that's it. Y'all know where our future is at, the future is with them. Not in the past, not in the present, the future, let's go. When I bang this on your head, I'm Obi. You know my name when I'm topping on your head, I'm Obi.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's your boy J Boogie right there. What's popping with you, ladies and gentlemen? I know I said ladies and gentlemen twice, but Obi Toppin, 42 points against the Toronto Raptors today. Season career high. I don't know. He said it's career high for like the 3rd time in a row. Obi Toppin, ladies and gentlemen. Then Emmanuel Quickley with another triple-double. Big games for the New York Knicks. Let's go ahead and get this thing popping, ladies and gentlemen. We got Uncle Fulio here in the chat. We got Tony Crow. We got Nate in the building. And, we're going to go ahead and break this one down. Get busy with it. Uncle Fulio, what's going on, man? You told me the Knicks was losing today. The Knicks won. What's going on?
That's right, y'all. You might as well get the tomatoes ready. Throw them at me in the chat. It's all good. But to be fair, I did say if Obi and Quickley had big games, we didn't score over 25, and the Raptors benched some of their players, that the Knicks might have a chance, and that's exactly what happened. And maybe I should say that the Knicks were going to lose every game this season. Maybe we'll be in the playoffs right now, but that's a different story. But nice win, nice victory.
Listen, this was just a nice way to send off the season. You know what I mean? Perfect way to send off the season. Not a good season by the New York Knicks, 37-45, but, we ended with a bang. We ended with some excitement. It's a nice celebration at home, you know what I mean? And that's all you can ask for. It's really all you can ask for at this point. You know what I mean? Tony, what's popping, bro?
What's good, fellas? You can hear me good?
Yeah.
All right,
sure.
Shout out to the chat, Yo Blackest Time. Yeah, man, career nights for the young guys. Quickly career high, too. Over the career high. And, season's over, but this is going to be such an exciting offseason. It's so many topics. There's so many narratives. There's so much to get into. I think I might be just as much anticipating next season as I was this season from last year.
Yeah. I mean, listen, man, the offseason is going to be interesting. You know, there's no two ways about it. There's a lot of questions. My shoot around tomorrow is going to be 5 questions, and there might be more when I think about them, but at least 5 questions the Knicks need to answer during the offseason, right? And there's a lot of them that the Knicks got to answer. Leon Rose went on before the game, tried to answer some questions for people. A lot of people weren't happy about it. You know what I mean? Maybe they just didn't hear the answers that they wanted to hear, or they thought it was generic. Whatever it is, you know what I mean? But he tried to do the best that he could to answer your questions, ladies and gentlemen. Either way, the New York Knicks win again. Man, Emmanuel Quickley with a triple-double tonight. 34 points, 12 assists, 10 rebounds for Emmanuel Quickley. Obi Toppin, 42 points. At first, I had 50 in the title. I don't know why. I must have bugged out, you know what I'm saying? Bugged out. But he had 42 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. Only 2 turnovers for Obi. We asked him to get on the boards. He got on the boards today. Just beautiful game from the New York Knicks, man. And Obi Toppin and Emmanuel Quickley for the most part. Nate, what's going on, man?
Hey, guys, what's going on? I mean, the best way to do it is end with a win. And the offseason has officially started for the Knicks. So a lot of topics, a lot of discussions, a lot of moving parts that they're going to have to really sit down and build this team up with. So looking forward to it.
Yeah. And I know, look, I know there's probably a lot of people looking like, man, why are you guys so happy? The Knicks are eliminated from the playoffs. You guys are celebrating like, I'm celebrating because I'm happy because one, Obi Toppin and Emmanuel Quickley performed, but I'm happy because they didn't just throw in the towel on the season,
right?
And just play garbage basketball. You know what I mean? They continued to fight for something. If it wasn't for the play-in, they were fighting to get better. You know what I mean? And guys like Obi and Emmanuel Quickley, Jericho Sims, they were able to prove that they could be players in the NBA. And that's exciting to me. You know what I mean? Steph, what's going on, Steph?
I'm good, Sam. I'm good. Appreciate you. Josh, Tony, Nate, I haven't seen in a while. It's been a grind. I'm kind of happy the season is over to just kind of take a little break. But I wanted to come on tonight because I kind of figured we'd talk about the game, but we probably talk about some other stuff as well. So I'm looking forward to chopping it up with y'all.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of questions, going into the offseason, about how the Knicks move forward. You know what I'm saying? Listening. Did you get a chance, Steph, to listen to Leon Rose before the game?
I did.
What did you think about the interview? And I don't know if you could read between the lines, but
a few things. He talked about Randall and his understanding of him emotionally, but and that Randall wanted to be here, but he never said, but we want him to be here as well.
Right.
I noticed that. And in terms of the direction, of the team, that there isn't going to be a change. And I didn't think so. I mean, they were trying to build off of last year. They signed Kimba and Fournier not to swing for the fences, but just to kind of stay in the playoffs. And it just didn't work out, So I think they're going to go and try something new, something different to try to continue, on that same track.
Yeah. Josh, what was your thoughts on Leon Rose and what he said before the game?
My thoughts on Leon Rose was that the plan is still the same. The plan has not changed. Everyone during the season was calling for Leon Rose to speak more, to get a sense of direction. Then they need to pick a side, pick direction they want to go in. When the entire time, fourth seed or not last year, the plan has always been the same. Develop the young talent, continue to draft well. We have a plethora of draft picks coming up in the next 2 years, right? And they're going to use those as either trade assets or to get development in, and the organization is prioritizing development. I'm not sure why people, expected to hear something different, or maybe they disagree with the plan, or whatever the case may be. But he told you exactly what the plan was, and what the plan is going to be moving forward. And we just got to see how everything plays out. Give it a little bit of time, give it a little bit of patience, and I think everything will work itself out.
Okay.
But I would have to. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Steph. Go ahead.
I hear something a little different though, Josh. I don't think the plan is that they were going to develop the young people. You're trying to develop the young people. You're not bringing in Kemba. You're not bringing in Fournier. They brought them in to take the next step, not a championship step, but to kind of stay in that playoff run. Now, yeah, they did, because he the first thing he said was he was disappointed.
I agree with you, but I think it doesn't have to be either or. They're not mutually exclusive. I believe you can bring in Kemba Walker, still compete for playoffs, and still develop your young talent.
Right, no doubt. But where they are now, it's a winning with Kemba and Fournier and Randall and developing young people is very different than trading Randall, right, and going uber young.
Right.
I think that's a slight difference.
Well, Queen, I think that the big part that a lot of people are missing, and you bring up some fair points, but the big thing that people are missing was last season the Knicks struggled to get to the salary floor. They struggled to get to the salary floor. So unless you're extending RJ super early, unless you're extending Quickley super early, the Knicks had to spend that money. They had to spend it they had to spend it some way, somehow.
Right.
So bringing in Kemba for $10 million a season, like, you have to sign some contracts and fill out your roster, right? And you have to spend that money and get to the salary cap floor. And that's the part where I think a lot of people are kind of missing when they say, okay, they bring in Kemba, so that means that somehow, some way, that our development is being slowed down. I just don't think that's the case. I believe they tried to win. But hold on. I think they tried to win now, meaning, compete now, and not necessarily win now. I think that's two different things. And I think that they also prioritize development. And that's everything that I heard in the interview. Obviously, it didn't work out.
No doubt about it. I'm not, but what and I get you in terms of addressing the fans. I get that part. I still think they were trying to get a little further, take the next step this season. I don't think they came in talking about, we're going to just prioritize Obi and I don't think they came in trying to continue this rebuild. And I get you, still develop those guys. Now, though, what are they trying to do?
I have a question for the whole panel. Real quick, I have a question. Do you think that maybe Obi and IQ and all these guys popped too early?
I don't think
that's probably what they were.
I don't think you can ever have anybody pop too early.
I think it's the opposite, Josh. I think Obi didn't pop early, and that's why he wasn't playing. And as Tib said, if you've seen the post game, he said, he earned his spot. You know what I mean? He said the same thing about Quickley. I didn't expect Quickley to be there last year. He earned that spot. Same thing with Grimes. He earned his spot. So he's acknowledged these things. But I think it's for the player to earn their spot. Like, and you know what I mean? I've been saying that all season. You know what I mean? Like, let's not act like there was times when Obi looked lost out there. You know what I mean? Like, he made a big jump.
Offensively.
Yeah.
And also, and also too, people have to take in consideration injuries gave him bigger roles. With Derrick Rose, Quickley stepped up. With Randall going out or whatever he was dealing with, Obi stepped up and filled that role. So, I mean, if those don't happen, I don't think these guys pop as much as they popped at the end of the season.
I mean, but
part of that is due to the player. Because the player has to take advantage of whatever opportunity that they get. So now I'm not knocking Obi, but it's a fact. He's admitted, knowing that he's not worried about getting pulled, boosts his confidence. He has to learn how to be confident when he's not guaranteed 30.
But if Randall's not hurt or takes himself out of the rest of the season, Obi's not getting those kind of minutes. And Quickley is not getting those kind of minutes if Rose is playing.
Well, Nate, so when I say pop too early, I mean that probably the front office didn't expect them to step up in the roles that they did win guys.
Yeah, I think didn't expect a lot of this season.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree.
But also, Nate, like Tony is saying, that's gonna happen. That is how players get their opportunities.
Sure, no, I get it.
Right. So when you get that opportunity, you have to take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Both did.
And that's what they did. They took advantage of those opportunities. You know, and now, you know, when you get those chances, now you force the coach, front office, whoever, to make decisions. You know what I mean? Now you got to figure out how to get the guy on the floor, whether that be relieve a player of his duties or figure out how they play together. But now you got to make that decision. How do we get this guy on the floor more because he impacts winning? Now, also, they've got to see it in a different situation. Right? They've got to see this kind of production, not 42 points, but they got to see this kind of production when the games have more impact.
Right.
Right?
And also, too, Sim, I go
bubble, Sim. Don't bust people, but people
I know,
really excited.
I know. I'm not. I'm just, you know, talking to Nate. I'm not trying to bust nobody's bubble. I know.
I'm about to kill the bubble because I think both of them increase their trade value. So if the Knicks decide they want to trade them for a bigger player, then now they have some value than they had before.
Well, I mean, listen. Any player that gets better increases their trade value, right? Any player that gets better, not just them. Anybody who gets better increases their trade value. But I know Greg, you know, is waiting to throw tomatoes. You know, waiting to hear somebody say something negative about Obi or whatever to throw tomatoes. I seen him already say in the chat, "Oh, Sim said that Obi couldn't lead this, that, and the third." I mean, I just seen him lead us in scoring. I don't think he led the way. Emmanuel Quickley led the way. You know what I mean? But listen, I'm not here to try to get on Obi or downplay anything that he did over the past few days, because to score 20 points in a preseason game is hard. To score 20 points in the G League is hard. Score 42 points in any game is impressive. So, I you know, what can you say? You know what I mean? What can you say? To score 42 points in any game in the NBA is impressive basketball. Let's hope that he can duplicate this. You know, he takes this confidence into the offseason and he gets even better. You know what I mean? And he looks at these tapes, say, okay, what did I do? Not just the coach had me on the floor, but what did I do? You know what I mean? Emmanuel Quickley was talking about the amount of times that he watches a basketball game, you know, watches, you know, the previous basketball game that he played in, and then watches the previous game of the opposing team and whatever else he said, you know, to prepare, right? So I'm pretty sure he's going to go back and look and say, okay, what can I do to get better? You know, how can I duplicate this triple-double effort as many times as possible? You know what I'm saying? And how can I find Obi? Because this is my guy that's going to get me these assists. And we can both get out there on the floor because we got good chemistry. I think both of these guys are going to do that. And that's what they're supposed to do. And believe it or not, like it or not, and people are going to get mad and say that, you know, we're trying to get a job on MSG and all this kind of stuff. Right? You know, they're going to say it. Cool. I don't care. But that type of work ethic, those traits come from Tom Thibodeau, right? Looking at the videotape that many times, you know, trying your best to be prepared. You know what I mean? It comes from what Tom Thibodeau is teaching these young guys, like it or not. And I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what MSG says. I don't care what, you know, my critics say about what I'm thinking. That's what I believe. So, you know, if you think I'm trying to get on MSG, which I'm not, I could care less. You know what I'm saying? About getting on MSG. You know, it's never been in my plans and it's not in my plans. But if that's what you think, that's what you think. I don't care. I'm just saying what I see, what I believe. You know what I mean? I believe it comes from Tom Thibodeau. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying he's a perfect coach. He makes a lot of mistakes out there, like most coaches do. You know, but I think, you know, that type of work ethic comes from Tom Thibodeau. That's what he's teaching them. Study. You know what I'm saying? Be a gym rat and study, because it's going to help you on the basketball court. But let's get to. I want to get the questions about Obi and his future, right? And how these performances are going to impact the offseason, how they're going to impact, next season and all of that kind of stuff. Tony, I'm going to start with you. How do you think Obi's performances over these past few games, breaking his own record in scoring, dropping 35 points and then 42 points. And I know it's the end of the season and, you're playing the Wizards and then, the Raptors who didn't really have much to play for. But like I said, it's impressive to score that amount of points in a basketball game. How do you think this is impacting the offseason and impacting training camp next season, et cetera?
Well, I mean, Tibbs already said he's earned his role. So I'm definitely expecting a increased role, moving forward. And not only has it been impressive what he's been doing, but multiple teammates have really been finding him. So it's a credit to him, but it's also a credit to his teammates. And that's another thing I actually love about Obi. Anytime he's talking about his performance, he's crediting his teammates. But Burks has found him for some impressive lobs. It's not just Quickley; it's mostly Quickley. But everybody else is actually figuring out how to utilize his talents as well. And I seen him throw a lob to Sims, which was also impressive. So yeah. I expect the increased role from him. And obviously, depending on how the dominoes fall, I don't know if it's starting, But if it is, he's definitely shown me, he's opened my eyes a lot. You know what I mean? Like, if we're moving forward and he's starting, I'm not upset with it. I think, there's things he got to work on, but he'll at least be able to, give us a couple 20-point games. I'm not expecting him to average 20, but if he does, great.
Yeah. Nate, and shout out to my man Kareem. He said, breaking news, Simeon Russell signs with MSG.
For $1 million. Tony brought up a good point. He said expanded role. I don't know what that expanded role looks like unless you're going to move Obi into the 3 position. Because I think you still have to have a rim protector at 5. And, Randall's going to get his 34 to 35 minutes a game. So it's kind of tough because we got to see what's going to happen with Mitch. If Mitch leaves this team, then do we trust Jericho to start the season at 5? Or does Tibbs go with Randall at the 5, Obi at the 4, and Evan, RJ, and whoever the heck's gonna be your point guard.
See, I don't think Tibbs is going with Randall at the 5 and Obi at the 4. He talked.
I don't think so either.
In his previous press conference where he said, he doesn't like it the way it looks defensively because
right.
He rim protection. He's concerned about rim protection. He doesn't like the way it looks defensively, and with neither one of those guys, you're not getting rim protection, right? Obi can jump, but he's not a shot blocker. And if he is going to be trying to block shots for you, he's going to get in foul trouble, right? Because he's still only 6'8", so he's going to get in foul trouble. Julius Randle can't jump that high, you know what I mean? So he's not blocking shots. You know what I mean? So you may give something on the defensive end. The question is, if you go with that lineup at the 4 and the 5, if you go with a small lineup or just play a small lineup, do you play such good offense that it negates what you give up defensively? But then come down the stretch, the game is going to slow down, come down the stretch. I don't care what anybody says. And then when the game slows down, that's when you really need that rim protector out there. And then who goes to the bench? You know what I mean? So it does make it a tough situation. Could one of those guys play the 3? That's, if one of those guys would have played a 3, it would probably be Randall because he could probably defend a 3 better than Obi. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if Tom Thibodeau would do that. It's comfortable enough having Julius Randle play the 3. You know what I mean?
I do think that the way he's been shooting the three, I think that changes things. You know what I mean? As far as like I think you're making a good point with Randall playing the three, Obi solidifying that fourth spot, and still being able to stretch the floor. I think we could see that, or just positionless. You know what I mean? And then, like you said, Randall guarding the three on the other side, and just figuring out the defensive matchup. But I could see them playing more minutes together for sure.
Mm-hmm. And if anything, I don't want to speak for Tibbs about who could start next season, because he can decide to do whatever he wants. But assuming that Julius Randle is starting and Obi's still coming off the bench, this could be the point where Randall's minutes starts to get shaved. Now he's getting 30 minutes and Obi's getting his, 20 minutes.
18 to 20.
20 to
That's
25
ideally what would have
minutes
to
or something
happen.
like that, Steph, how do you think this is going to impact?
I think they're going to have to move Randall if they. I just don't see them playing together because, like you said, Tibbs likes his rim protection. I don't see either one of them playing the three. I think if Randall comes back, it's going to be similar. Maybe his minutes get shaved down a little. But I think one of the things we're not talking about is Obi's defense, which is poor. And, there's no options today or yesterday because we only had 7, we only had 8, right? When the regular season comes and we have a full complement of players, his defense is going to have a lot to do with how many minutes he gets on the floor, not just his offense. So if they keep Randall and his defense doesn't improve, he may not get that many minutes. I don't see Tibbs going goo goo gaga over his offense and not paying any attention to his defensive assignments and defensive awareness.
Right. What do you think? Any specific things with Obi that you think he can do to correct, his defensive mishaps?
I think two things. He can get down into a lower stance because his stance is really high.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that'll help his lateral quickness, but I just don't think he's able to move his feet adequate enough. But maybe a lower stance would help. But his defensive awareness, like being able to see the ball and see your man, like that's just huge. It's like his guy cuts and does all kinds of things, and he's like, oh, he has to learn, So I'm not sure how he's going to do that. I hope that's something that they're going to work on. Maybe bring other people in, focus on defense, don't even focus on his offense, and see if that helps over the summer. But hopefully that's part of his development, because I don't see his time increasing that much if he's not able to do that.
Right.
Do you think running a zone sim, you think that would work better? That would help them to play together?
I think running a zone would definitely help them to play together, without a doubt. You know what I mean? If you run a 2-3 zone and you have those guys at the 3 and the 4, if that's what you want to, because offensively is not the issue with those two guys on the floor. It's defensively. Who do they guard defensively? So if you have those two guys on the floor and you run in a zone, even if it's, you may not start the game that way, but, throughout the game, you have them on the floor together and you say, okay, we're going to run a 2-3 zone. Those, and then you got Mitch, assuming Mitch is there, in the middle. You got Obi out on the wing. You got Randall out on the wing, under the basket. And then Mitch playing the middle. And then at the foul line area, whoever your point guard is and R.J. Barrett. You know what I'm saying? So maybe you can run a zone in that manner. And you may be able to do a 3-2 zone as well. As long as they can keep their rotations right. And you might be able to get away with that for 5 minutes a game or, 5 minutes a half or something like that. Or whatever, whatever amount of time you get away with it for a few minutes every half, which equates to maybe 6 to 7 more minutes for Obi. which can increase his minutes, maybe increases his minutes to 25 a game or something like that. You know what I mean? And then plus you're going to have your time when he's playing without Randall out there on the floor. So those things can happen. It's up to Tom Thibodeau
Right.
to make that. Steph, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to address some people in the chat who talk about Randall's defense. I think there's a difference between Randall and Obi in the sense that Randall is about effort and energy and staying with it, right? I saw him last year play good on the ball defense. I think he was top 10 at his position. I saw him making his rotations last year, right? This year, it was something totally different. And I agree. His energy wasn't there. His effort wasn't there. He was lazy. He wasn't making the rotations, and he was a poor team defender. But that awareness is there. And if he's engaged, he can do it. Obi, this is fundamentals.
Right.
His defensive fundamentals is not there. It's two separate things.
Yeah. Fundamentals and awareness, because he has the effort. He has the effort.
He has the effort. Yes,
but you got to be able to make the rotation.
Combine both of them together.
Right. Yeah. Right. You got to be able to make the moves and make the rotations and do those things combined with the effort. You know what I mean? Julius Randle is, an effort issue. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not there, but it's an effort issue, which we're not saying that's a good thing. But, with Obi, it's about, understanding where to be, when to be, understanding how to defend those screen and rolls. I see him and RJ get mixed up who's supposed to be guarding that, pick and roll and stuff like that. But like Steph said, I think during the offseason, that's what you do. You spend, instead of 75% of the time on offense and 25% on defense, you flip-flop it. You know what I mean? You spend 75% of your time on defense and recognizing those rotations, you know what I mean, and 25% of the time on offense, because you can still develop and get better offensively if you're spending that amount of time. I think most players don't spend as much time on defense. It'd be good to see him spend more time on defense, working on those fundamentals, breaking down tape so he can see where he's supposed to be, break it down, and then get on the court and do it. You know what I mean? Nate?
Hey, Sim, another thing that I thought about, too, is that this is a little bit deeper than just like whether they can play together, how the minutes are going to be spread. People remember Obi Toppin was Leon Rose's pick. That was his first pick when he came in. You bet your butt that he's going to want to keep this guy. And it's going to be interesting how him and Tibbs agree on this, because obviously Obi's not a very strong defender. And Tibbs needs guys that play defense, especially this year. Our defense was horrible this year. I mean, it got better at times, but it was still bad.
It wasn't as good as last year, but
it sure as heck wasn't good as last year. It was all right. But
it was all right.
Right. It was all right. But it has to be better. So the thing is that this is going to be interesting with Leon Rose, because I guarantee he's going to advocate to play Obi more. And Tibbs is going to be like, well, can he play defense? Can he play consistent defense? Can he be more aware on the full, court? Can he get a mid-range jumper? Can he get, more confident on the offensive side? So this is going to be an interesting debate between these two, because Tibbs, I don't think Tibbs really wanted Obi, but I think Leon Rose did. And Tibbs just trusted what Leon Rose said because,
Yeah. Okay. Josh?
So Tim, for me, and Queen brought up something very interesting. She said that Julius wants to be here, but they didn't necessarily say that we want to have Julius back next season. The easy answer for the Knicks is to move on from Julius Randle. That's the easy thing for them to do, because Tibbs needs his rim protection, like he said. That's what he wants. That's his philosophy, right? So he isn't comfortable with Randle there. But we're talking all this about defense. To me, our issue is offense. That's what our problem is. For another season, we are bottom fourth in the league in points per game. We're bottom fourth in the league in pace, right? Our offense has been the issue. And when Julius and Obi was on the floor together, we seem to have way better spacing. Guys can get to the rim, and guys are knocking down their shots in the limited amount of time that we've seen those guys on the floor together. And I wanted to see that a little bit more. So I think, and this is like a kind of a crossroads. This is like, to me, a true crossroads for the organization. You either go with what Tibbs wants to do and, prioritize rim protection, or you get rid of the glut that you have in the 4 and 5 spot. And I'm talking about Nerlens Noel. You got to figure out what's going to happen with Mitch. Is Sims going to be here? Because if you see Obi and Randall on the floor at the same time, one of those centers are going to be losing minutes. So you're taking minutes away from Sims. You're taking minutes away from, Mitch if he's here. Nerlens, I'm pretty sure, is going to be gone. They're going to probably find a role for him, another team for him to go to. But you also have to look at that part of it, right? So I think this is a true crossroads for the organization. The easy thing for them to do is to try to move Julius Randle, try to get back some compensation. Hopefully, we can get back an all-star to a superstar player for Julius Randle, but that's a different conversation. But to me, I think that's the direction they should focus on trying to go in. And, I think that'll be easier. And it just, answers so many questions at the 4 and 5 spot.
You
muted Steph.
And other positions as well, where we have multiple players, like clear it out.
Yeah,
right.
That is probably the easiest thing for them to do. Right? That's probably the easiest for them to do. But they've got to be confident that Obi is going to perform in real basketball games. You know what I'm saying? Like meaningful basketball games. They've got to be confident that he's going to be able to, give you 18 and 8. That's what I think. They've got to be confident in that. I think he can. I think he can give you 18 and 8. Do they feel confident, that he can, just be strong defensively? You know what I mean? Or figure out the defensive schemes to hide him or whatever they've got to do. But, to make sure that he's not going to hurt him in that regard. That's why that development in the offseason is important.
But, Sam, our offense and our pace is going to have a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can give us 18 and 8 if we're playing this half-court game that we've been playing, right? We would also need to change the pace and make it easier for him to score.
Right. Because
and that's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Agree.
Yeah, because some of the things that they do, the league is going to pick up on. The way Obi leaks out, pretty soon they're going to say, hey, you stay with him, right? As soon as that shot goes up, you get your hand on his hip, and as soon as he leaks out, you go with him. You know what I mean? Because he gets a lot of his points off of that leak out. So they're going to find ways to try to shut down some of the things that he does. And you've got to have a really good point guard to, once the opposing team figures out how do we stop Obi from scoring the way that he scores, right? And most of the time he's scoring because someone's finding him open for 3 or someone's finding him on an alley-oop or a backdoor cut or whatever. How do we shut that down? Now you got to have a point guard that says, okay, you shut that down, but now we're going to find them this way or that way, right? So that leads me to Emmanuel Quickley. Josh, can Emmanuel Quickley? 2 of his last 4 games have been triple-doubles. 3 of his last 4 games, he had over 10 assists or more, right? I'm not expecting him to average a triple-double, but can Emmanuel Quickley be that point guard like I just explained?
I think he can, Sam. I think he can. But at the same time, I still want to have a little bit better depth at the point guard position moving into next season. So I'm willing for the Knicks to go out and go get a point guard and pay him some money to actually have a competition for it. Just because we go out and go get another point guard to be on the depth chart does not mean that we're stunting Quickley somehow. I think competition at the point guard spot actually helps Quickley. Right, I think that actually helps Quickley. So I think Quickley can do it. I think Quickley can do it next season. Based on Leon Rose's interview, I'm a little bit more leaning towards the fact that the Knicks probably won't go get a point guard this offseason, which I really want them to do. I think next season is gonna, this offseason is gonna tell whether Quickley is gonna be that guy for us moving forward. There's no doubt in my mind he can do it, but I still want to see some more depth at the point guard spot, particularly a veteran coming in, running the offense, maybe running the second team, and it quickly takes over the starting role, or somehow vice versa. But yeah, there's no doubt in my mind Quickley can have the ability to lead the team moving forward.
Okay, Tony, what do you think, man? Do the Knicks go it quickly to start the season, right? And see what it looks like going into the trade deadline. And I'm not saying to trade him. What I'm saying is, if you don't like the way it looks going into the trade deadline, maybe you figure out a way to bring in another point guard.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I would like him to start at point coming into the season. I think he's had enough experience just running the position all year.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see Burks back at that 6-man role. And yeah, if it doesn't work or they want to make a move, that's when those expirings are valuable at the trade deadline, where you could probably move them and get somebody you're looking for.
See, and the only reason why I wouldn't do it that way is because I feel like once you go with Quickley, there's no turning back.
That's what I was going to ask.
So I would rather go get the point guard in the beginning before the season even starts, and then have them fight it out and work, and compete for the starting point guard spot from the get go. So if it doesn't work out for one, you can always go to the other. That's the way I would go about it, because it's hard in the middle of a season to try to solidify a point guard position. That's a position that we've been needing for years, right? So I'd rather do it that way. Pay the money, pay whatever money you got to go out and go get a point guard, and then if it doesn't work with the guy that you bring in, you put Quickley in there, or vice versa.
But
That's how I would do it.
Well, I think I'm gonna be honest.
Hey, you don't even raise your hand and say, "Hey,
no, it's not even your turn."
Yeah. Let me mute this dude, man. Jeez, we'll get around to you. Just gonna jump in there.
Give him his intro music.
You know what I'm saying? Give it to him now, man. Steph, I was gonna ask you. I was trying to come to Steph. You're just gonna jump in there, Steph. What do you think?
I mean, I don't think this is going to be a popular take. I want to get back to the playoffs. I want the Knicks to be a perennial playoff team. And I know it's going to take some time to go from a playoff team to a championship team. But as an organization, I'm just really tired of being rebuilding. So if they go with Quickley and they at the 1 and go with Obi at the 4, we probably win like 25 games. Like it's just not going to be a good team. And I like the way Quickley is developing. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Obi, but we're not going to go to the playoffs with those guys starting, in my opinion. And I hope I'm wrong. So I'm not excited about that. I would like the Knicks to bring in a point guard, and like you said, if Quickley beats that person out, so be it.
Right.
But I would like the Knicks to continue to build toward the playoffs. If guys are ready, fine. I don't think Quickley is ready to be a starting point guard on a playoff team. On a playoff team, I don't think he's ready for that. And I'm a big Quickley supporter.
So you don't think his stretch of, I'll say, like the last 20 games, you don't think that's sustainable? Because that's where he kind of turned it around, really. And think about it. Even when I was down on him, I gave him his props. I'm like, yo, his defense much better, facilitating much better, rebounding much better. So the only thing that I was really complaining about was shots and shot selection. You know what I mean? He was in a bad slump, and obviously when you're not making shots, you kind of look at these deep ones and they look worse. You know what I mean? You're not thinking like, oh, he can make it. It looks bad when you just chucking them up like that. So I don't know. I think
he might. I mean, maybe you're right.
I think he's shown a lot. And I think, the one thing that Tibbs didn't start him at all this season, you know what I mean? That makes me think it's not going to happen, because I would think he would have wanted us to get a look at it. But he played a lot of minutes with the starters. You know what I mean?
And he closed.
Yeah, and he closed. So,
right. But his decision making is still an issue. His shot selection is still an issue. I'm not saying if they go that route, it's fine. I'm a root for his for his success, of course. I don't know if he's ready to be a starter on a playoff team. That's all. I mean, when you look at the point guards on all the playoff teams that's in the playoffs to play in this year.
Mm-hmm.
Steph, let me ask you, if they made some other changes besides just bringing up Quickley, right? Let's say they did start Quickley, because I do kind of agree with Josh. I know I asked Tony that question, but I do kind of agree. If you give him the keys, you probably don't take him back at the trade deadline, right?
No,
right.
You let it rock. Yeah, you got to let it go. So what if they bring up Quickley, they trade Julius Randle, but when they trade Randle, they bring in someone who's a 3 that can also facilitate something and is more of a leader out there on the floor who can, maybe calm them down a little bit. Like, do you think something like that could work on a playoff team?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm just thinking of swapping out Randle for Obi and moving Quickley up. I don't see that as a playoff team. But if the Knicks trade Randle and they get other players in, and IQ is starting at the point, depends on what the mix is. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. Yeah. Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of thinking that they got to do during this offseason. And I know Leon Rose was talking about how they want to be prudent, and take the proper steps. Part of those, when you talk about the proper steps, though, is cleaning up the roster and figuring out what you're gonna do with this roster, because there's so many duplicate pieces and it's almost like there's too much talent. And it seems weird to say because they didn't make the playoffs, but the talent only goes to a certain level, though. That's why they didn't make the playoffs, right? So the talent only goes to a certain level. It doesn't go that high where you can make the playoffs without, no matter what's going to happen, you're going to make it. So, they have a lot of talent, but now you got to sort it out and figure out how the pieces work and fit. You know what I mean? And then what other ancillary pieces you got to bring in to, make it snug. You know what I mean? And I think that's going to be a tough task during this offseason. I don't think obviously the front office ain't going to get any time off. Tom Thibodeau ain't getting no time off because he's got to be in there in those meetings, to figure out what's going on and how they maneuver going forward. Isaiah, I'm going to come to you. Then I want to talk about what the offseason plan, you heard, I think it was Rebecca Harlow, talk about what the offseason plan is going to kind of look like for the players. All right, but Isaiah, now you have the chance, to speak and say something. You know what I mean?
I first want to say hello to Jaws, hello to Tony Crow, hello to Queen, and hello to Mr. Simeon Russell himself.
Thank you.
What's going on, y'all? What's going on, man? It's the last one. I'm excited to be here. Shout out to my brother Guillermo, who's at the game.
No, this is not the last one. We have a whole lot more content.
Sim.
Post-game show.
Sim, hold on. So this is the last post-game show until the
last post-game show.
Till July.
Till Summer
League, man. Listen, me and you, we gonna be Cancun, sipping mojitos,
I ain't going to Cancun with you. You forget about that.
Oh, come on, man. But, no, so Sim, I'm probably gonna agree with Tony because look, right, you gotta have I think you gotta have faith, right? You gotta take a leap of faith and you gotta believe in some of these young guys, and I do agree with you. If you do start Quickley next year, then you have there's no choice. You gotta go with them. To me, the full 82 games next year. But I think for me, it would. I'm gonna go with starting Quickley, man. And I know I've been a big Jalen Brunson guy, but I mean I'm seeing with Quickley, man. This kid's like at least 6'4", 6'5".
Quickly?
Yeah, Quickly's like
6'3".
Yeah, 6'3", 6'3".
It was the decent size.
Wingspan is really, really.
Yeah. So I mean, look, I think we can really do it next year, and hopefully, I know we're gonna talk about the Leon Rose thing about what he said before the game, but I think you got to take your leap of faith.
We already did. You late, but go ahead.
Oh no. Thanks. Nah, so yeah, I think I feel like you should take your leap of faith with Obi and Quick, man, because I think I know, and I will say this to you, Steph. I really believe that you can do both. You can make the playoffs and be young, and you can. I think you can do it with this group. I really do. Look, someone put it on Twitter like, yo, the Knicks team lost 16 games with by 6 or fewer points during this season. We won 37 games. So if you had a stable point guard on this team, you probably win about. I'll be generous. I mean, you probably win about 6 of those.
But the question is Emmanuel Quickley that stable point guard? That's the question.
Well, I think it is because we talked about it on the last show I think on the shoot around or on the last game, was that we wanted to see Obi do this against a real again, no disrespect to the Wizards, but we know the Wizards were tanking, so they weren't really trying. But he had his career high against Spicy Pete, man. That's big. He had it against a former. This team won the finals 2 years ago. This team is a playoff. This is a playoff team. This is not a play-in team.
Well, I mean, they kind of didn't play the game. The game kind of had a preseason atmosphere a little bit.
I understand, but still, it's still against the Raptors. So it's like I'm gonna take that leap of faith with Obi and Quickley. And if you have a team with RJ, Quick, Obi, man, you got a young team. Man, listen, again, Josh's gonna laugh at this because I'm going with it. You can't be like the Memphis Grizzlies. You have a possibility.
I don't think I am in agreement. I don't think Emmanuel Quickley, Obi Toppin, RJ Barrett, Evan Fournier, and Mitchell Robinson is getting you to the playoffs with that starting group. If you're going to make changes and bring Emmanuel Quickley and Obi Toppin in.
But why not, though?
Because I don't think that they're good enough. That's why. If you're going to make changes and bring Emmanuel Quickley and Obi Toppin in there, then you probably need, and you're moving Julius Randle, then you got to get something back, a starter, I think, back for Julius Randle that replaces Evan Fournier, who is a strong veteran that can really lead the troops out there. That's what I think. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I mean, are we automatically assuming Randall's moved? And you know what I mean? Because I was thinking with Randall, but still starting.
Yeah. I'm not assuming that he's moved. You know what I mean? There's a lot of decisions that have to be made. I'm not going to automatically assume that he's going to be moved. I don't think that they're going to look and say, yeah, Obi Toppin is definitely going to do this every single night when he gets out there. You know what I mean? I think that they're still going to be looking for ways, for him to prove that, whether it be in training camp. The only way that you're really going to be able to prove it is in regular season games because nothing can emulate those. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about these games that we just seen. We're talking about, impactful games. Those games that are in late November, early December, January, those games. You know what I mean? February, March, those games in there when you're really battling for them playoff positions and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Tone.
If I like multiple of you guys to answer, but if you had to, who are you more comfortable with the end of the season, Quickley or Obi, as far as like this is who they are moving forward?
Quick, because We've seen it a little
Quickly,
longer.
Quickly, yeah.
You got to go Quickly.
Yeah, I would go with Quickley too. You know what I mean? Because the reason why is because Obi is still depending on someone to get him the ball. You know what I mean? He can do some things, but kind of depending on people to get him the ball. Where Quickley can impact the game with the ball in his hands right now. You know what I mean? And not saying that Obi's not going to do it. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's going to work very, very hard over the summer. He's going to come back better. But just to answer your question, I think it would be Quickley as well. Speaking of over the summer, I think it was Rebecca Harlow kind of talked a little bit about what their off-season schedule looks like. And they're going into, what did she say? Active rest after the season for a couple of weeks. Active rest where they'll do some things in the pool. They'll keep up their endurance. They're resting, not really focusing on skill building, but just keeping themselves in shape, doing endurance type of stuff. I'm pretty sure guys like Emmanuel Quickley and RJ is going to get out there and play ball anyway. You know what I mean? After that, they're going to move into individual workouts, right? And I'm pretty positive that each one of them have a plan of what they need to work on during the off season, and they'll go with their personal trainers, and they may even be able to work with some of the Knicks trainers. I'm not exactly sure if there are any anything that says that they can't work a certain amount of times. If you know about the NCAA, when you go into the off season, there's only a certain amount of time that the coaches can work with the players, right? I don't know if they have the same thing in the NBA or not, but of course they can all go get their personal trainers. Their personal trainers can be in touch with the Knicks trainers to find out, hey, this is what we need them to work on and would like them to work on, to be part of our system and then improve as players themselves. You know what I mean? So they'll be doing that for a couple of weeks, and then they'll come back to training. Well, not training camp, but they'll come back in and do team workouts, start to work together. You know what I mean? So looking forward to seeing how these guys are working over the summer. I'm going to give a shout out to my man, Trav B. Ryan. He said, Obi needs more strength on defense. He has to let his offensive player feel his presence. He needs more physicality. He'll be all right for sure. I like what I see. I agree. You know what I mean? Lower body strength, too. Obi got you ever see Woodstock from Snoopy? He got Woodstock legs. You know what I mean? I don't know if this is ever going to change, though. That's one of the reasons.
Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the reasons why he can jump so high, though. You know what I mean? So I don't, based on how he plays basketball, you don't know if he wants to change those Woodstock legs.
Yes, I was just about to say that. Does that really, if let's say if he put more muscle on his legs and stuff, would that mess up his game?
It could. That's one of the reasons why he can jump so high. Because of his leg type. The springs in his calves are long. You know what I mean? So it allows him to be able to jump a little bit higher. Once you start to change that, it'll change the way he plays basketball. You know what I mean? So, I don't know how much he wants to change that part of his body. Andrew Nash, thank you for the super chat. He said, I'd rather lose and watch these younger players develop versus going to get X player to add to this team. There's no player that we can add that will make a huge difference. I think we're selling our young players too short. Listen.
I disagree too.
I'll say this. I don't know if we're selling them short or not. If they decided that's the way that they wanted to go, I'm cool with it. But as it is right now, I think they still want to make the playoffs. And if you still want to make if they're trying to build and continuously go upwards, you know what I mean? Then they're probably going to go in another direction. But if they want to break down and say, hey, we're just going to go with a really straight up youth movement, more than what they're already doing. You heard Leon Rose talk about it. 9 players under 24 years old. That's a lot when you have a 15-man roster, right? 17 including your G League players. You know what I mean? It's still with 17, 9 of them. That's still more than half of your roster. And then you got a couple of guys that's 27, 28. 29, you know what I mean? I think Alec Burks is 30. Of course, Taj Gibson is over 30. Derrick Rose is over 30. But they still are playing with some young guys out there. But it's all about the direction that the front office wants to go. And I still think they're trying to be a competitive playoff team. Josh?
Not to mention, right now the Knicks are currently capped out for this offseason, right? So in order for them to even clean up this glut, they have to make trades. You have to clean up the glut by making trades. So therefore, just by default, there's going to be a new player on this roster this season if they decide to make those trades, right? It could be a point guard, it can be, whoever, a stretch 5 or whoever. So it's going to be a new player coming in this team next year. And then even after that, you still have to fill out the rest of your roster. Right? Or Andrew Nash, if what I'm hearing from you correctly, you'd like to keep this roster the same moving into next season. And if that's what you want to do, then just say that. But if you want to clean up this glut that we have and, get rid of some of these guys who are pretty much dead wood sitting on the bench like Nerlens Noel and, Kemba Walker and all that, you have to trade them. That's the only way they're gonna be off the team or buy them out. And buying them out doesn't make sense right now.
Yeah, and I just to chime into what you said, Josh, I think for me, right, I think the biggest people that have to go, clearly Noah just has to go. That was just That was a huge mistake.
Who's taking a guy that hasn't played a full year?
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to move him.
Without seeing him.
No, because he's expiring, so they can still find a partner. I don't think it'll happen in the offseason.
At the deadline, it's not.
I mean, to be fair, look, right. I think there's gonna be, because we have this mindset, but I really think GMs don't think how we think. I think they're gonna see that, hey, Noel has a year. He's a great backup big on an expiring contract. I think a playoff team will take a chance with him. I personally think you got to get rid of. I mean, me personally, I think you got to get rid of Alec Burks. Me personally, I think he just. I mean, I think Kimba's already. I think Kimba's gone. I think we all know Kimba's probably going to get traded.
Kimba wasn't even there at the last game of the season. He's out of there.
Yeah, he's not coming back. But I also think, like, for me, right, I think because you still have to see what Cam Reddish has. So I mean, to me, you have to move Alec Burks so that Cam Reddish can play. And again, I personally want Derrick Rose off the team. I personally think we could get something for him for the playoff team. I think that will clear up a little bit of gut too for the guard position, so that at least to me, if you're going to add another guy like maybe a Ricky Rubio, you could possibly do that if you want to, or you could just go with. It might not be the best thing to do, but you can go with Quickley and McBride as your starting point guard, and then have McBride as the backup if you want to go that route.
Right.
They're not doing that.
And listen,
they're probably not. Like you said, they probably go get a guy like maybe Rookie.
They're not doing that.
Just insurance.
I don't think they're not moving Derrick Rose either. Derrick Rose is going to be here. Derrick Rose is rocking out, I think, until his contract is up. Now, they may make a decision at the end of next season that they don't want to, opt into his contract. But I think Derrick Rose is going to be here next year. Nerlens Noel, there's a good chance that he's gone. But I think Tom Thibodeau, though, likes Nerlens Noel too. I think he does. I think he likes his rim protection. Now, I don't think there's enough room for all three of those guys, Jericho Sims, Nerlens Noel, and Mitchell Robinson. So something needs to happen. You know what I mean? If Mitchell Robinson is gone, Nerlens Noel, I think, will probably be here. You know what I mean? So we got to see what happens with Mitch.
To Tony's point about going out and getting that point guard, if they decide to stick with Rose as the backup point guard, there's the answer right there. Quickly to start next season, you got Rose coming off the bench. There's no need to go out and go get someone else. But if they decide to move on from Rose, then that's a different story, which he has an expiring contract if they don't pick up the option after the next season or whatever. So they can go that route too. So,
and with Burks, you don't even have to trade Burks until the deadline. Cam Reddish can just beat him out in training camp.
That too.
We don't got to clear the runway. He could just beat him out in training camp.
But I do agree.
That's Tibbs' way.
I do agree with you. I really do agree with you. The only thing for me, and I think a big mistake that the front office has to fix this season is with Tom Thibodeau, that you have to remove things for him to get out of his own way.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
He's playing the players who he thinks give him the best chance of win. If he thinks Cam Reddish gives him the best chance to win, he will play Cam Reddish. He will.
Look.
I don't know, because it is to me, again, this is just me, what I observed from Tom this year, is that he just got in his way sometimes. And that caused some losses for us, that he got out of he playing guys too long, or he's doing this with these kind of guys, that because I get that he always says he puts the best players in to win, but that's not the tell of the season. But to me, he didn't always put us in the best. He didn't always put us in the best position to win.
But check this out. Check this out. If anyone thinks that a coach's rotations don't put you in the best situation to win, it doesn't matter who's on your team. That coach's rotation still might not put you in the best place to win. You understand what I'm saying? That's a different issue altogether to me. You know what I mean? Listen, if you have a front office and you have a coach, they've got to talk and be together and figure it out together of who needs to be on the team. Not, I'm going to take this candy away from him. Now, at the end of the season, right? At the end of the season, I was like, well, if they want Tom Thibodeau to play the kids, then, maybe they need this. Rose needs to sit out, such and such needs to sit out, such and such need to sit out. But when you're talking about you got a training camp and the beginning of the season, all of that, you throw the players out there and you let the coach figure it out. That's the way I see it. But during that offseason, the coach and the front office, they got to work together to figure out who's going to be on this team. How do we put this team together? Not Leon Rose saying, nope, I'm taking this from you. I'm taking that from you. No, they got to be on the same page, because if that's the case, well, Leon Rose is saying, if Leon Rose is saying, I'm not going to let you have this guy because of this and that, then that's just a break. You talk about them not being on the same page. That's them not being on the same page. No, they got to sit down together and talk and figure out who's going to be on this team, how we moving forward with this basketball team, so that they're all on the same page and making the decisions together, instead of just Leon Rose saying, no, I'm not going to let you have that.
What I would add is, I didn't have a problem with Tibbs' 10-man rotation, but I would have liked to, when we didn't have it going, pull somebody in out of that rotation and see if they can give us a spark.
Yeah.
Or if someone on that second unit had it going, leave that person in a little while longer, leave that particular lineup in a little while longer. But I'm not going to look at how these guys are performing at the end of the season and say, oh, if they were starting, Tibbs was holding them back. They could have been doing this all season. Maybe they wasn't ready to do that all season. Exactly. And he saw that. You know what I mean? So I'm not starting. I would not have started Obi over Randall. I would not have. You know what I mean? I would not have started whoever, we want to talk about over the person in front of them. I would not have done it. But in spot minutes, I would have liked to have seen more of that.
Yeah, but I do agree with you. And I've said it before that clearly Tibbs knows a lot more than us, because, again, he stuck with a man quickly when he played bad. He stuck with players when they weren't doing good. But I think for me, it was more, when I say take away the pieces, is that, like, again, we talked about it plenty of times during the season. It was like there'd be times where we're coming back with some of the young guys. We're coming back with that second unit, and then he puts the first unit in, and then boom, we go back to blowing the lead. And again, I know it's tough being a coach because those decisions come quick, and that and you also see them maybe getting tired. But there were things where I think Tibbs kind of, I'm gonna say, Tibbs got scared sometimes with certain decisions he made, or he panicked and went back to what he knows, went back to a default, when to me it's not about a default, it's about seeing the game. Because to me, you can't be a guy that comes on the post game and say the game tells you what it's gonna be, or the game, I forgot how he says it, but he says it basically, the game will tell you, it will say it how it plays. But then on that same time, you're not doing what's best for the team to be in that position.
But what I'm saying to you is that's a different thing than taking pieces away, because it don't matter what pieces you have out there, there's still there's still a way that he can make a wrong decision.
No, Zim, of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course, no, Zim, of course I know that, because again, you're not, like you said, you could draw up the perfect play, and the guy can miss the shot.
No, that's not what I'm talking about, though. What I'm saying is, listen what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, the solution is not that you got to take this guy from him and that guy from him, because, if not, he's going to put him in at the wrong time. The issue is he putting guys in, no matter who is on the floor, who's on the team, is he putting those guys in the wrong time, at the right time, whatever, right? That's two totally different things, because no matter who's on your team, he's going to find guys that he trusts.
Right.
And when things get hot and the pressure picks up, he's going to go to the guys that he trusts. And if those are the wrong guys, it's going to be the same issue all over again. You understand what I'm saying?
Can I interject? I'm agreeing. The majority of, if you notice, he trusts the guys based off of last year. You know what I mean? Like, so Fournier, he was on a lower end of that trust totem pole. Obviously, the rookies, he hadn't seen them a year yet. And then out of the guys from last year, Toppin was the lowest guy on it. But it's all based off last year. Next year, he'll be evaluating them based off of this year. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The other thing I want to say is, just because a decision doesn't work out doesn't mean it was the wrong decision. And just because a decision works out doesn't mean it was the right decision.
Exactly.
You're making decisions consistent to what your thought process is. I remember the game when we were up and that unit was doing very well with 3 minutes left. This was late in the season, and Tom Thibodeau decided to bring RJ back into the game. Now, usually, if that team is playing well, leave him in. That's what everybody was crying for, you know. But Ron brought up a good point. It was a young team out there, so maybe Tibbs thought, I'm going to bring RJ back in to stabilize that young group because they're not used to closing, and it worked out. But what if it didn't work out? What if RJ coming back in messed up the whole flow and we lost the game? The point is the coach is thinking something when he's making these substitutions. And just because it doesn't work out doesn't mean it wasn't the right decision based on whatever he was juggling at the moment to make that decision.
Right.
Not to mention a lot of these close games that we had, or the games that we were winning by a lot of points, we missed free throw shooting. A lot of these games that we lost came down to missed free throws. We were terrible in that category. So there's a lot of blame to go around. It can't just be on Tibbs and what Tibbs failed to do. The players have to be able to knock their free throw shots down and be able to close games. And we just weren't able to do that either. So I think there's a lot of blame to go around. Simply saying that it's all Tibbs' fault, to me, I think it's a little bit unfair. I mean, obviously,
but nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that, though, Jones. Who's saying that it's just all Tibbs' fault?
Well, you said that the rotation could have been better. A lot of people are saying that. Of course, they could have cost us games.
But they did, though. hold on.
They cost us games too.
Of course, Josh. It's many factors. I'm not one of those people that's saying it's just Tibbs. But we have to be fair. Tibbs has cost us. Look, Tibbs cost us games. Randall's cost us games. RJ's poor shooting throughout the second half of the season cost us games. Yes, all these things factor in us having. The front office, yes, right. The front office it's just not Tom Thibodeau. Was Tom Thibodeau his best? Clearly not. Was RJ? I mean, no, it's all a group.
RJ
listen,
wasn't his best either.
No, of course he would. No. I know. No, Mama. Hey, Mama, you gotta tell me. I know it is. Don't you worry. No, but again, it's a team, right? You win as a team, you lose as a team. It's a collective reason why we had a bad season.
Yeah, well, it doesn't sound like it when you look at certain areas and you listen to certain people. It doesn't sound like it. Everyone points to one thing. Anyway, Neville Humphreys, thank you for the super chat. He says, it feels like every time this panel is wrong, they seem to move the goalpost. First, Obi is not an NBA player. I don't remember whoever said that. Then Quickley is not a point guard. And you know what? First, let me give him the gas face. Right, gotta give him the gas face for that one. I think this panel's been saying for 2 years, not everybody on the panel, but certain people on this panel has been saying for 2 years that Quickley's not a point guard. This is not the first time that anyone said that. Before he was playing well, last season when he was a rookie, people have said that. He's not a point guard. Now, I don't remember anyone saying that Obi doesn't belong in the NBA. I don't remember that at all. I've heard people say that they didn't think he was going to be a starter, that he might, he'd be a guy that came off the bench. I heard people say, that he would not be as good as Julius Randle. I've heard people say a lot of things. I don't recall anyone ever saying he's not going to be in the NBA.
What about the people that said that we should have drafted Halliburton? What about those people? They ain't nowhere to be found.
Josh, why don't you just at me, bro? You can at me.
But listen, takes change over time, and that's what people don't understand. When you watch a player, you evaluate them, you're giving your take on what you're seeing at that moment, and from that sample size, you're saying, oh, this is what I think going forward. If the player shows you something else, you change your take, Right. It's not something that you have to stick to. In light of new information. I mean, come on.
Right.
I'd rather be wrong 100% of the time as long as there's improvement. I'll be wrong all day long.
Steph, we too old for that. This is the cancel culture generation.
Right.
You tweet something, you send something, they coming after you.
Yeah.
And by the way, I would still take Tyrese Halliburton over Obi.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Man, don't be mad about that one.
Yeah.
But like I mentioned, Tim, like in 8 of the games that we were up by 15 points and we could have won those games, we missed 8 free throws during those games. and we shot 72% from the free throw line. That both of those metrics are worse than the NBA. So free throw shooting is a huge part of why we could have easily won 45 games this season with this current roster. We could have done it. Blame it on whatever you want, but I'm looking at that free throw shooting because, ain't no coaching. To me, I feel like coaching doesn't have anything to do with that. Not as much.
And we don't have a closer. Remember last season in the fourth quarter, Randall hit a lot of big shots for us in the fourth quarter to close the game.
And D Rose
and Derrick Rose as well.
Facilitated.
Yeah.
Savvy, what's going on, man?
Hello, panel. Hello, Tim. How do you do?
I'm doing good, man.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to see that the MBK fam, the panel, the chat, that we're all doing well because we're all very happy about this win, right?
Feel great about the win. Feel great about the win. Obviously, some people are a little bit upset that, it had to come down to this game. Everything came down. This is the end of the season, and the Knicks didn't do what they're supposed to do. But I'm glad about the win. I'm glad about the progress of the young guys and all that stuff. And tomorrow, we're really going to get into breaking down. Tomorrow starts, man. You know what I mean? It starts. We're going to start going over questions for the season in an organized fashion. Not just guys like Big Bubba jumping in and just saying anything, but, in an organized fashion. You know what I mean?
Big Bubba, who looks like he's about to rise up to heaven in that yellow light, bathing in that yellow light.
We about to.
That was funny, Savvy. I'll give you that one. That was funny.
We're about to get into the keep him or dump him.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? We about to break down the draft. We got a lot of stuff that we jumping into, man.
I thought you may keep it or dump on for Isaiah.
That's a good one. We might do an entire show on that one. Do we keep? I'm gonna put the question in the chat right now. Do we keep Isaiah?
Sim, I swear to God, if you put that question,
right? I'm putting it in the chat right now. Keep him or dump him, ladies and gentlemen. Do we want Big Bubba back next season?
There's no doubt in my mind.
Hey.
Hold on, Bubba. Hold on one second. There's no doubt in my mind that the content coming in the next couple of weeks, couple of months is about to be immaculate, right? But you mentioned people who are not happy about this win, and do you know what I call those people? I call them losers. There's a trend I'm noticing in this fan base where someone just said, I'd rather lose games if it means that we play these guys. And I'm like, what part of the game is that?
Right.
I don't know where they do that at. I like when the Knicks win. I think if the Knicks win, we go to the playoffs, we build the culture, we get experience, our guys get better. I don't see how losing helps anything, quite frankly. But I'm glad to be here. I'm doing well. I'm happy with the win. And if anybody feels like this panel is flip-flopping and moving the goalposts, go ahead and pull the Savvy F&D highlight reel of commentary from January, and you'll see I've been on point and consistent all along. We ain't hiding from nobody. The videos are right there. You can go watch them right now. You should watch them right now because we are awesome. The MBK family is cemented. And one thing that we always do is we talk basketball. Steph said she wanted to see this, this, and that. And she still wants to see this, this, and that. I said, it's not time yet to start Obi, but he got his lumps in January, and he'll come back better, and he'll learn from it. And you know what he did? He took his lumps in January, and he came back better, and he learned from it. Would I start him immediately next season? No, not yet. Give him some more minutes. Will I start Emmanuel? Yes. Yes, I would.
All right.
I think one thing we underestimate is what it takes to produce in this league game in and game out, especially with defenses and focusing on you. It's not easy. It's not easy.
It's not. And it's easy to sit around and say, well, we should have been did this. when you don't have a perspective on all of the factors that the coach is taking into consideration. Sometimes there's a guy out there who's making all the right decisions, but the execution is off.
Yeah.
Are you going to yank him for that reason? No. You're going to trust in him to get it. Sometimes the timing is off. Sometimes the person who's supposed to be receiving this pass is a step too slow, and it looks like he made a bad pass when really the guy wasn't paying attention the way he should have been, and it looks bad like that. You see, there's a certain thing to be gained from going to the games in person and watching them in person. I was watching Sim the other night. He said there was just certain things that you could see about how the reads are being made when you show up and you watch the game in person, because it's different than on TV.
No doubt about it.
All y'all TV fans who want to see this Hankathon standing rise up, okay, are not watching all of the nuances to this game. The reason I would start Quickley and not Obi yet is because one thing that I see from him that I wasn't seeing before is poise. Okay, the deep shots looked bad when they weren't going in Tony Crow's opinion, right? But I was the guy saying, "Yo, step farther away and shoot it. Step farther away and shoot it. I dare you, because that's your range." But what he's got now is he's got poise, he's got patience, he's got timing. Obi is devastating guys down there because not only did he add a 3-point shot, but he's got patience and hesitation and maneuverability and some craftiness under the basket, right? But what I don't see from Obi yet is the ability to pick guys apart systematically in and out on a night-to-night basis. I think once he is able to master some of his footwork, clamp down on defense better, and really start to be a self-creator in the post maybe first, and then later on with a shot selection, then we could look at probably starting him. But I think it's too soon.
All right.
I think let's let them get some more burn. Give him 5 more minutes a game. Put him in there for 25 minutes a game. And let's see what happens.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the top of your YouTube chat, we got a poll in the building. Big Bubba, do we keep him or do we dump him? Right now, Big Bubba, 68% say we keep him, and 32% say we dump him.
Sim, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna find this 33%. I'm gonna find this 33%, and they are never coming on this chat again. Cause y'all got a target on your back, and I know it's Tony, cause Tony don't looking at me. Tony not looking at me.
let us know, ladies and gentlemen. Keep him or dump him, Big Bubba. And also, you already know we got the NBK draft party coming up June 23rd in Atlantic City. All right, so please make sure you sign your name up to get on the list. All right, there's a link in the chat right now. I'm going to throw it throughout the chat a couple of times so you can access it. I can't pin it to the top until this poll is done. We find out what we're doing with Big Bubba next season. But I got it in the chat a couple of times. You can click on that link, get your name on the list to go to the NBK draft party. It's going to be dope, man. We're all going to be there having a basketball game. Of course, a live podcast and all of that. It's going to be dope. In the meantime, let's take a listen to Emmanuel Quickley. I'm not going to do Tom Thibodeau's post-game press conference because it's like 18 minutes long, right? So we'll, I'll get a chance to break it down, and when we do the shoot-around tomorrow, then we'll break down Tom Thibodeau's press conference and all of that. Okay, but here is Emmanuel Quickley. He had a triple-double tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The second time in 3 games.
And a career high.
And a career high.
Assists and points.
Yeah. You know, Emmanuel Quickley, folks. Let's listen to him.
Yeah, just big picture for you this season. Obviously, goals you had as a team didn't come through, but kind of where do you feel you guys are from beginning to end right now?
I think, like you said, we had goals on making the playoffs. and doing better than we did last year, but obviously we didn't. We didn't get to where we wanted to, but I think especially down the stretch, I think guys got better, more confident, and I think you've seen that today. We're having a lot of fun. But obviously we want to get better this summer and come back and do better as a group. That's the biggest thing.
You had 2 triple-doubles now in the last couple of weeks. Do you feel like you're a better player today than you were in the fall?
Than I was where?
In the fall.
Absolutely. And that's just from putting in work each and every day, trying to come in with a mindset to get better, asking questions still. Big shout out to my coaches, me and JB. We work 20 minutes, 15 minutes after every practice. So, just trying to work and get better each and every day. I think that's been the biggest thing.
How did you kind of navigate earlier in the year? Minutes were kind of up and down, and then obviously you make it through to this part of the season where you're really thriving. How do you navigate the early season kind of inconsistency?
You navigate inconsistency by controlling what you can control, and that's, like I said, one, working hard, trusting God, and staying faithful to the grind. So. Things you can't control, that's never something you can really worry about. You try to worry about things you can control, and that's what I just said.
Obi said sometimes you're in the gym at 2 in the morning. What's the craziest hour you've been in the gym?
Craziest hour was after I had Christmas at his house, and so I think that was 1 in the morning after Christmas dinner. I went to the gym. I think that's the craziest hour.
Do you just what inspires that after Christmas dinner?
I think I was watching Steph and he was going crazy. I'm like, I gotta go to the gym. I gotta go to the gym after watching that. Yeah, I think that was the craziest one.
Who do you text to go rebound for you?
I was on the gun that night. I shot on the gun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm assuming you didn't have Tibbs that night, but Evan was just saying, whatever time he comes, Thibodeau's in his office working.
Anytime I could go in there at 1 a.m., Tibbs is going to be in there. That Range Rover is always going to be right in that same spot. So, and you just give him a little wave, he'll see you. And I go in there and talk to him every now and then.
Is that literally true? Is he like literally there at that hour?
I give him about 11, 10:30. I give him about 10:30. He might be in there.
What about previous head coaches? I'm not going to single anybody out. Were they always kind of keeping those hours, or is that unique when you're around a guy like Tibbs to do that as a head coach?
That's pretty unique. Coach Cal will be in there pretty late, but Tibbs is definitely unique in that he's there before anybody, he's there after everybody. Not that my previous coaches didn't work as hard as him, but Coach Tibbs he's a night owl for sure.
During the or coming into the season, I should say, you mentioned a few things that you were working on in the offseason. I think if I remember correctly, one of them was mid-range. After going through this year, do you have anything in mind now that you want to pinpoint over the summer?
Yeah, obviously you want to work at everything, but getting stronger. And I think that just comes with, as you get older, you keep lifting, you get stronger. Mid-range is one. Playmaking, want to continue to be able to see the floor better and be able to create for my teammates. And then want to keep, adding shooting range to be able to shoot farther and farther. So that'll probably be some of the biggest things.
Is there a particular part of the game where you feel like the strength would help you? Like, is there a reason why you say that?
One, defense. I think that's one of the biggest things. And you got to be able to defend to stay on the floor. So defense, shooting range, creating contact for N1s. I think strength just adds to every part of your game. It's not just one particular part.
So Tibbs came out before and said that when he coaches the team, he loves everything, and there'll be some change, but him and Evan both said they'd like to see this group run it back. You kind of feel like whatever went wrong this year, that next year the bulk of this group could get it back together?
Yeah, absolutely. I think not only myself, but I think we all believe in each other, the guys in the locker room. So definitely want to see as many people as we can come back. We all believe in each other in that locker room. Everybody works hard, respects each other. So we want everybody to come back.
Did anything, because you're close with Obi, did anything about how he played after Julius was out with the injury? anything surprise you, or did you expect that from him?
Opportunity, it's sad that Julius went out, but opportunity, if you're ready for your opportunity, you'll play well. I think we expected Obi to play well because of how hard he worked. And he's been ready. He comes in early, stays late, just like everybody else. And when your number's called, you want to be ready, and he was ready. So we're really proud of him.
Man, what are your goals for next season? Be to launch into the starting lineup? Is that something that or do you like coming up the bench?
I just control what I can control, man, and that's working hard, trusting God, getting better every day. If that's starting, that's coming off the bench, it is what it is.
Obi talks a lot about every time he comes in here now after one of his career highs, he talks about how his confidence level is so much higher. I know you guys are close. How have you seen that in him?
All right, good story. We was coming to the game today. I don't know if he told y'all this. We was coming to the game today, and we was both sitting in the car. He was like, I'm about to go crazy tonight. I was like, I'm about to go crazy too. I guess we both gonna go crazy. And he wasn't saying that type of stuff, early in the season. So for him to just come in before the game and say stuff like that, that's when I know Obi is feeling himself a little bit. He got calmed down a little bit. Nah, he gotta keep going.
You guys always come in together for home games?
Sometimes we've been. At one point, he was playing good, and I was coming to the game with him. He was like, bruh, you have to come to the game with me. Like, you're not allowed to go by yourself. It's like, bruh, you playing good because you work hard, bruh. And he was like, nah, but I'm proud of him, man.
Who drove?
Obi drove. And that's not a good idea, but Obi drove. Bad driver.
All right, guys, dude.
All right.
Appreciate y'all.
That was Emmanuel Quickley. Any thoughts? Anybody? Any thoughts on some of the things that you heard him say in that post-game presser? Isaiah, go ahead, man.
I love that he didn't, because I feel like the reporter was trying to make him say like, does Coach Cal come like, does he not put the same effort in? And I kind of like that, like he didn't like try to throw nobody under the bus. I appreciated that because that's like just. Like the little things like that I always appreciate. Like you just never saw nobody under the bus.
Yeah. Well, I think he did preface it by saying not naming any names or anything like that. I don't think he was trying to make him.
I don't know. I felt like I don't know. I thought he was trying to make him say like.
I know. That's the drama part of you. This ain't reality TV all the time.
Bro,
he wasn't trying to do that. Before he even asked him,
I'm not a messy person, man. I'm not a messy person.
He said to him, not trying to name anybody, but he was really trying to just focus on Tibbs and how unique it is that Tom Thibodeau is in there those hours.
Yeah. Nah, but no, I will say though, hey man, we're not a messy show, man. We're not messy at all. I just love like his relationship with Obi, man. It's beautiful, man. Like they got a bromance. You know what I'm saying? It's really great. The chemistry you can clearly see is there with them two, and I just love to hear that the confidence from Obi and the confidence from we all know Obi. I mean, we all know Emmanuel Quickley was confident, but just to hear that this kid is like talking about going crazy and he's gonna drop this, he's gonna do that. I just love it. I mean, I just really want to keep him on this high. I think, of course, there's going to be lows. He's not going to score 30 and 40 every game. But, I mean, for him to just come in here with the confidence that I feel like is going to seep over for next year if he's still here, it's just beautiful to hear, man. I love to hear it.
Yeah. Anybody else want to talk about? I'm going to tell you what stuck out to me is the control what you can control, right? That's what really stuck out to me. Even when the guy asked him about starting next season, he just, listen, I'm going to control what I can control. If that means I'm coming off the bench or if that means I'm starting, I'm just going to control what I can control. That's one of the best answers you can give. Yeah, so.
I agree. Even not saying it's bad, but even some people will be like, yeah, of course I want to start. You know what I mean? But I think that's an even better answer. You know what I mean? Because obviously, of course, I want to start, but I believe in my coach. You know what I mean? And I love the friendship that him and Toppin have and have developed. Like you hear it more and more about how they spend the majority of their time together outside of basketball. So I just love their camaraderie and their friendship. I hope the two of them are long-term Knicks, and that just continues to build and grow like a DeRozan, Lowry type thing.
Yeah. Okay. And anybody else? Because we got Obi Toppin. Want to get into Obi Toppin's interview, but go ahead.
Yes.
Savvy.
I love these kids on the Knicks. I love these Knicks. I posted the picture of them dapping each other up in the post game. I labeled the Range Brothers. They're Range Brothers out the roof, then not the Waynes. These guys, first of all, and you know it's real because IQ was rocking the same Jesus Peace earring pendant that we've seen Obi rocking in the past, shortly after the slam dunk contest.
Yeah.
So there's a bond there. But what I want to point out is how he went shooting in the gym the morning after Christmas dinner because he saw Steph Curry going off, right? And that's that passion for the game. That's that hunger for more. That's that desire to approximate greatness.
To be great. Yeah.
To be great, to pursue greatness that pushes you forward to do the extra things. It's fun to him. He enjoys it. That's how he chooses to do it. He's not faking the funk. It's a beautiful thing when your leisure aligns so much with your passion and your drive and what you desire to do as a career. And I just hearing him say things like, you know, Obi wasn't saying this before, but he's saying this now. And even what he said about starting, that saying that I'm going to control what I can control, knowing full well that you want to start, is the type of thing that you say when you trust in yourself and your process and your grind going forward, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
And to hear him speak of the confidence that Obi Toppin has developed within himself, man, I believe that what they're about to do going forward is going to be so much more intentional. We're gonna see so much more of a method to the madness.
Okay.
Going forward, that I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled to get into. It's great for culture.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's listen to Obi Toppin, ladies and gentlemen, and his post-game press conference.
You used the word confidence last week. It's the fourth time in 5 games you've tied or set a career high. Like, do you feel like you're just going out there and throwing it up and stuff is going in? Is that confidence really building?
I feel like I'm just going out there playing. Like I have great teammates who's finding me on lobs and who is finding me in like different situations. But like all credit goes to them. Like we push each other every day to get better. So they helped me throughout this whole season get better as the season went on.
Why is, I mean, it's like the last 11 games you're in the mid-40s from 3.
Yeah.
Why has that change happened? Like, it feels like it's happened immediately.
I feel like you just said, like I feel like as the confidence got better, I kind of like it just became like as soon as I catch the ball, if I'm open, I'm gonna shoot it. So like I feel like, and that's what tips tell us too. Like if we're open, shoot the ball, and I'm not thinking I'm coming out. I'm just playing basketball. So.
Entering before Julius was out for the rest of the year, entering this stretch, did you feel like you were capable of doing exactly what happened? Like if you got the opportunity, like this was gonna happen?
I mean, I hold myself to a high standard, so like I push myself. I'm in the gym every day, but like I said, we also have great teammates who push us to come into the gym every day and get better. So having a brother like Quickley, he's in the gym at 2:00 in the morning working out sometimes, and he'll call me and be like, "Yo, bro, I need you to come to the gym with me." So like having a guy like that with you that works hard every single day to help his craft like is great, and to start to help a team be successful, you need a guy like that. So
You guys were in the gym like all summer last year.
I wasn't in the gym at 2:00 in the morning, but we was in the gym together. Yeah.
You guys worked together a lot last offseason.
Yes, sir.
Have been planning too for this coming.
Yeah, for sure. The season didn't end the way we wanted it to, but like we definitely like I can't speak for everybody, but for myself, like I have a lot of confidence and I feel like going into this summer and next season, that's something to build off of. So we're gonna go into this summer, work really hard and do a lot better than what we did this year. So.
What is Julius's reaction been to you ranging up 42 points, 35 points? Is he
Julius, my brother. Every time someone's doing good, Julius is gonna look out and reach out to us and tell us how good we're doing. So, when I was coming to the bench, Jules was talking to me, telling me, keep going, like keep shooting the ball, keep trying to get to the backside, screen somebody, allow other people to shoot. So try and get assists, try and get rebounds. Like he challenged me to get a double-double today, so I had to get that last rebound at the end. But Jules is a great guy. He pushes all of us to be great every single day. So.
Tom talks about the work you guys put in.
Yeah.
In practice and stuff that we don't see.
Mm-hmm.
He gets
Early group.
He gets criticized for not playing maybe as many minutes as you did down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
But do you understand and agree kind of that from what you worked then to now, maybe has happened behind closed doors?
I mean, Tiz is a great coach. He's been doing great with all the teams he's coached for. So, like I trust Tiz personally. Like I feel like he's gonna have my best interest. He's gonna do what's good for the team, not only what's good for me. So, like Tibbs, he been in the game for a while. He knows what's right. So, if that's me not playing a lot, like that's what it is. Like he knows who's gonna do whatever they have to do on the court. So I trust his judgment.
I guess I'm asking, like, do you feel like you're a different player just from what you did behind closed doors early in the season?
I mean, I just trust my work, and I trust these teammates. So every time we put the work in, it's gonna translate to the court. So.
Do you feel like you're better now, or do you feel like you're able to play more freely with just so many guys out of the lineup and do more, shoot more, all that? Do you feel like you're better, or do you feel like this?
I just feel confident. I feel like that's the biggest thing. I feel real confident, and we had a lot of fun today. Like all these guys, these last couple of games, we went into the game saying, let's just have fun. Let's not ruin anything, and let's not embarrass ourselves. Like we wanted to win these last couple of games, so we went out there and did it. So.
Did you know that you were getting close to 40?
Yeah, cause me and Quick was looking at each other. I needed help, we needed to help Quick get the triple double, and he wanted to help me get to 40. So it's crazy, cause me and Quick rode up here together, and we was like, bro, let's do something special tonight. And it's crazy that's why he tweeted, God is great, cause me and him was literally in the car driving here saying that we was gonna do that. So to have the opportunity to be able to do what we did today was amazing.
Is it kind of cool considering how close you guys are? He is
Yeah, for sure. I was telling him that he didn't know it was his career high. I was like, yeah, it's your career high today. So I give him. Oh shoot, I almost said the wrong thing.
Oh man, Steph, anything that you heard from Obi?
Yeah, that he basically what I'm hearing him say is that his game is not really that much better. That this is something what he's doing now is something. Skills that he's already had. It's just that he's more confident in this displaying it. The only thing I would hope for Obi and I know everybody is different, is just be confident no matter what. Like when you think about Grimes, you think about McBride and how Tibbs pulls them and they don't get any light or whatever, and they just stay confident within themselves. I just want him to do that. But I get it that everybody is everybody's different.
And that's a hard thing, because I don't know if you can control confidence. You know, I don't know if you can control it. Like just all of a sudden, you're doing something and then all of a sudden you don't feel like you can do it as well. And it's like,
I get it.
you know, like how do you control it? My players ask me about that all the time, right? Because coaches are always like, just be confident in your shot. Be confident in this. Be confident in that. And so they ask me because, you know, they're younger. So they're like, Coach, how do I be confident? I always break it down and say it starts with doing, you build your confidence up by setting small goals. That's how I always break it down to them. Set some small goals and accomplish those goals. And then that's how you build your confidence. Because it's a hard thing to explain how to be confident if you're not confident. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not confident in your shot, then how do I shoot it with confidence? You know what I mean? It's tough.
But you know what also too, Steph, and it's tough because I know you play sports and Josh play football. So Josh can understand what I'm saying is that like when you play defense, right? It's tough because you miss your assignment and you miss your the hole or you miss your just get into the quarterback and stuff like that and it causes a whole effect. Like you lose confidence like that because you don't. You know what it is? It's more about letting your other teammates down. I think that's a big thing for a lot of players, that you don't want to let your teammates and your brothers or your sisters down because it sucks. Because I feel like for Obi, I feel like he gets so frustrated with himself when he misses a rotation or he misses.
That's what I'm talking about. Like I get it, but in the moment you're down. But when these other guys, it seems like they never lose confidence in their game overall, whether they're not playing or whatever. But Obi just visibly looks so
frustrated. And I think for Obi, right, because Obi is probably more like, dang, I just missed this. I missed this defensive assignment, so RJ had to take it, and RJ got a foul, and now he has 2 fouls in the first or second quarter because of me, and then he's getting, and Thib sees this, and he gets pulled for Randall because now he's like, dang, now Randall can't get the rest he needs because I'm messing up. I think it's more like that, right? Because even for my, I said when I play sports, I wasn't, you're gonna miss an assignment. You're gonna mess up, or a guy's gonna block you, or it happens. It's part of the game, and you just suck because you're making somebody else work. You're making one of your brothers work a little bit harder so that they cover up your mistake. So I think for me, I think for if I'm thinking like Obi is more probably like he doesn't want to let his teammates down. Versus because because most
I think he's too hard on himself, though.
Yeah,
it's
hard. I think it's gonna be still difficult. All right, I'll say this. I think most of it was because he was worried about getting pulled. I think that was more the problem than anything else. I think a lot of the times it was like if he knew if he made a mistake, he'll get pulled faster. I think sometimes he felt like he was playing well. And then one mistake, he's getting pulled. It was like, so it was like more like frustration. Like, what do I got to do? You know what I mean? I can't be perfect. You know what I mean? I think it was more of that starts eating at the confidence because it's like, I got to be perfect. I got to be perfect. And who's perfect? No one, right? So it's like almost feeling like set up to fail. But I think now that he's had these good games, and now that Tibbs is like gone out on the record and said, yo, he's earned his spot, you know what I mean? I think things are going to be different moving forward for him. And I think the fact that he's had, 42 points, whether it was the last game of the season, first game, like you said, Sim, it's not easy to put up 42 points in any type of league. But for him to have done it, I think that's going to go a long way for him moving forward. Like,
they don't move on from Randall. I just don't see it.
You got teammates that haven't reached that level yet. You know what I mean? Of scoring 42 points. So, I mean, that's a milestone right there.
But like Steph just said though, right? Steph just said it best. If you don't get rid of Randall, it don't matter how much confidence Obi got because you're gonna play Randall 30 plus minutes. That's just how it's gonna be.
I think there is a world where Randall's minutes get reduced, and there is a world where they actually play some minutes together more, where that's not affecting Obi's playing time.
If we get a new coach,
I think
he's not playing that small ball lineup. If we get a new coach, maybe
he might not start it, but that don't mean we ain't gonna see it.
But here's the thing, though, Tony. So I mean, I think we have to be realistic, right? I think, especially when it comes like Steph said, unless we get a new coach, that lineup that we talking about with Randall and Obi, that's not gonna happen. And I to be personal,
We've seen it already. So how can we say it's not gonna happen?
But in
We
small
saw it
sample
because we were forced into it because of something, foul trouble or what have you. Remember in the beginning of the season,
that's all part of the game, though.
But you're not. But Tony, you're not. I'm not gonna say you're not listening, but that was literally situational. Like I believe the game Steph's talking about. I believe that of course Noro didn't play. I think Taz got fouled out, and I think Mitch got fouled out. So, and I think I forgot what happened with Jericho Sims, or he was in a G League or something. But that was really more situational. I mean, really though, we got to be honest, and we're talking about winning also next year that we want to do. I just don't see, to me, if Thibs is our coach, I don't see a reality where Obi gets the minutes like the minutes that he needs to play like this to a certain extent, and Randall play those minutes together. I just don't see it.
So I agree with Tony here, and I'll say why. I think you're correct. I think it was situational at the beginning of the season, but also we haven't seen Obi play to the level that he's playing at right now.
That's true.
Right? Like we talked about it before that, sometimes these players have to play their way into the rotation, play their way, earn their minutes. I think Obi has shown that he's earned more playing time, not just, 10 to 15 minutes a game. I think he's shown that he's willing to play, or he could play extended minutes. I think he knows that. He's confident in that. And I think Tibbs now realizes that. And moving forward into next season, we got to see how it all plays out. I think there's a possibility where we're going to see a lot more of Obi on the floor, whether it be with Julius or without him.
But Josh, here's another
defensive end and the rim protection is gonna be the issue because Obi is not great defensively. And that's a big thing for Tibbs. That's why I don't think it's going to happen. I think we have to move on from. If you want Obi to get the minutes, I don't really see where both of those guys.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Steph, because
we don't know if Mitch is going to be here. We don't know if Nerlens is going to be available. So it may be by necessity again. But I think the fact that we saw it already, and we saw it on numerous occasions, we saw it because we had no choice because of foul out. We've seen it because of foul trouble, not wanting somebody to pick up a third foul. So that'll give them 2-3 minutes. You know what I mean? So to say we're not going to see it, I think that's
as a regular part of our rotation is what I'm talking about. Yeah, out of necessity, yeah, sometimes.
But
I would be shocked. Put it that way. I'm not saying it won't happen. I would be shocked.
And with Randall being there next year, I mean, how many minutes does Obi get on a regular basis? I think that's the question. And is it enough? Are those minutes enough? You know what I mean? Even if he gets more minutes, I don't know. What did he get this year? 15 minutes a game? Something like that? 17 minutes a game? Yeah. Right? So 15, if he's at 15 minutes a game, is 20 minutes a game enough? Or do you think he needs to have more than 20 minutes a game? Does he need to have a full 30 minutes a game? So that's where it does become kind of difficult. So if they want Obi to be the guy that's averaging 20 points a game and 10 rebounds, 8 to 10 rebounds, it might be unless one of those guys is starting at the 3. Because Tom Thibodeau wants to have a center that can. Tom Thibodeau wants to have a center that can, block shots, this, that, and the third. I don't know.
Hey, Sim, and
think about it. He had over 20 points in under 12 minutes in the first half, I believe, or at least I know.
I don't think that's sustainable, though, Tony.
No, I'm just saying that's a time where you're going to see him play more of that game, that particular game.
But also too.
Let me ask you this, Big Bubba. When I said about them guys playing, one of those guys playing at the 3. Who's a better defender, Julius Randle or Evan Fournier?
It might be Julius Randle at the 3. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I will say this. Hold on, but one, please, I do not want to see that. I need to make that very clear.
Why is it that? But because I'm gonna tell you this. Hold on. I'm gonna tell you this. If you go back and you watch these games, which I'm not going to watch all 82 of them, but I'm going to go back and watch a good number of them. When Julius Randle was out on a guard, which happened a lot, He did very well. When Julius Randle had to guard guys like Kevin Durant and those guys, he played very good defense.
Even Jaylen Brown
Even Jaylen Brown, he played very good defense.
Sim, that's all fine and dandy, but no. Julius Randle's not a 3. I'm sorry. We gotta shut that down now because
it's not about the offensive side. Nobody cares about the offensive side.
On rotations.
Yeah, it's not about the offensive side. The offensive side can do anything. It's about the defensive side, and can a guy guard on the defensive side? Has nothing to do with the offensive side, really.
I understand
because guys can play any kind of position. You know what I'm saying?
I'm perfectly fine. But I will say this too.
Go on.
Now, I was going to say just one more thing with Steph. That again, I really do have to agree with Steph because it to me just does not make sense to start Randle and Obi if you do that or if you go that route, because we're still talking about a potentially signing Mitch back, because that's one of the priorities from what they say, that's one of the priorities to sign Mitch back. And then you also have Jericho Sims coming back, and then we don't know what's going on with Noels. So. And you have Cam, who probably most likely going to play either 3 or 4 next year. Most probably on the 3 side and probably on the 4, depending on what they do with Obi and stuff. So it's like I really just don't see a world where on the defensive end that Tom Thibodeau is going to have Randle and Obi. Like Steph said, Obi. Look, we love what Obi was doing offensively. He has still a lot.
I don't think Tony was talking about starting him. We're talking about a sustained rotation.
It still don't. I mean, we'll talk about it, but
I'm just saying he was talking about a sustained part of the rotation. I don't think he was talking about starting them. He was talking about a sustained part of the rotation. And if you did something like that and you went, you played some zone during that time, that's the way that you can get around it. You know what I mean? If you played some zone during that time, I don't know if Tom Thibodeau wants to play zone.
Very true.
And I don't think Tom Thibodeau is going to play zone. So it's going to be hard, for Obi to get a significant, up to 30 minutes a game. I think it's going to be difficult. The only way that I see Obi, I'm telling you, getting 30 minutes a game is if at some point during the basketball game, one of those guys is playing the 3. That's the only, with both of them there, that's the only way that I see them Obi getting 30 minutes a game as well, is if one of those guys is playing the 3 at some point during the game.
Or if the bigs get in foul trouble.
I mean, or if the big, I'm talking about something sustainable throughout the season.
Sustainable, yeah. I got you.
Throughout the season. That is a regular part of the rotation. That's the only way that I see it, is if one of those guys were playing the 3. And to me, what happens on the offensive side doesn't matter. It's only can they defend the opposing 3. That's the only thing that matters. Can they defend the opposing 3? Because offensively, if Obi's able to shoot the 3 like the way he's shooting it now, if Randall's gets just a little bit better, right, they'll be able to spread the floor still. You got a center out there, then you got a shooting guard, and you got a point guard. You know what I mean? It could work offensively. Defensively is where the issue is.
And am I mistaken? What is it? One of the games that he played Randall and Obi at the 5 and 4, wasn't it because of the matchup? Like in the post game, he said, I forgot what team it was, but they had a smaller center, and that was the.
I think it might have.
That was the reason he said, well, this particular matchup, Julius, he could hold his own against.
Right. There were a couple of times when Randall played the 3 as well throughout the season.
I think it might have been Sacramento.
Rim protection is not just who the center is, the opposing center is. It's also defending against penetration, blocking shots, or making attempts to block shots and that things of that nature. I don't think it's based off of all the time who the center is. I think rim protection is more
matchups in general. I think if the matchup is in our favor, it might have even been it was Sabonis at the 5. When it's a matchup that is favorable or not detrimental, I could see him doing it.
And that boy was hot too. He was mad as hell. That was crazy. I want to chime in on just like the post game there about confidence. And I feel like one of the things about confidence is that the first step to establishing a long-term sustainable level of confidence is to eliminate nerves, right? And to eliminate nerves, what do? Sometimes it has to do with trading your replacement so you know you're going to stay on the floor, So moving on from Randall, I could see being a contributor to that. But even greater than that, I feel like what would help you eliminate nerves is your level of preparation. Knowing that you've done everything that it took to prepare and develop your skill set, develop your protocol and your procedure for what you're going to do in situations. And that's why it's a beautiful thing to see this relationship between him and IQ, where they have this gym rat mentality, this grind mode mentality, is that he's able to become so prepared, right? And know that he's going to be called in order to display what he's been working on a night in, night out basis, because he's going to get minutes, period. Then I think all that can happen is that he grows his confidence, and when he takes his shorts this time, when he takes his lumps this time, it's not going to take as long for him to bounce back as it did this time around. Because don't forget, there was stretches of this season where he wasn't seeing the floor for more than like a handful of minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a time where we were not seeing Obi on the court. And he came in, and then he had an all right game. Then he had a bad game, and he took his lumps. Julius came back from COVID, and we started to see him again toward the end of the stretch. And you saw the result of that preparation. You feel me? And I think that going forward, what we could see is, even though Jericho Sims himself is sort of an undersized five, right? I could see that being a situation where we have our starting five, whoever that may be, if we bring back Mitch or if we don't, right? We have Jericho in there. And then depending on how the rotations play out, we could have even Obi be the one at the five, right? And have him be more of a paint dweller at certain points in time if the shot is falling for Randall. And then have Cam Reddish come in for a guy like RJ at the three, right? And see these guys come in and play different positions during the same game, depending on who needs to rest and who has a foul situation and what the matchup is like. I don't think it's so set in stone to where we can't be flexible to how we deploy these guys.
No, that's
on night and
you got to
night out
talk to
basis.
Tibbs about that.
As long as we're not deviating too much away from our core guys that we play, we're not gonna have to go into 11, 12 men in order to see this happen. Because what's gonna happen coming back from the season, we're gonna have Cam Reddish still trying to find his way into some minutes, because we haven't seen him really cement his claim yet. Okay, Deuce is, he's got his own little situation going on. Grimes is going to be back. We have to figure out what's going to happen there with him and Fournier. And if we have someone else at the three, are we going to bring RJ back to the two? I don't really, you know what I mean? Like we're going to still have our core guys that we had all along come back and do some things. And it's going to be a make or break year for Julius Randle anyway, because we still don't know if he's going to be the good Randle or the Randle that we got this year in the first year.
Yeah. Listen, Nikki B from Harlem, thank you for the super chat. He said, IQ, RJ, Randle, Obi, and Mitch or Sims. Why or why not? All right, so I'm going to start with Steph, but before I do, I did put a poll in the chat for you to answer. Yes or no? You like that lineup? Yes or no? Right now, 51% says yes, 49% says no. Also, I ended the poll about Big Bubba. Do we keep him or we dump him? 67% said keep him, 32% said dump him. That's a pretty high percentage that said dump him, bro. That's a pretty high percentage that said dump him.
Isaiah, how many different accounts you logged into?
Hey, listen.
It's a third, bro. A third of the fan base.
Me and Kevin Durant, man, we might be head to head. But let me say something, man. Sam, let me tell you something. If I find out that 32%, It's over for you. Don't listen. I'm gonna tell you this. Don't come to Atlantic City. Don't come to Atlantic City because me and Steph we gonna jump you.
Oh, I want to see the poll on the rematch. Who they going for?
No. Let me tell you something. Hey, Tony. Let me tell you something.
When we get closer, yeah.
Oh, don't you worry.
When we get closer to that rematch, it'll be out there. He already. Anyway, Steph, that lineup. Would you test it? And I know I spelled Mitch wrong. I don't know how I did that, but I put the C at the end. But 54% right now says yes. 46% says no. So far, 54 votes. I want to know what you guys think.
Test.
I know why you put the C at the end, because we might see him, we might not. You know what I'm saying? We might see him, we might not. We don't know what's going to happen with Mitch. Go
on. Test it, maybe. Randall is just so inefficient. Now you putting him out on the perimeter, and that's where he's going to stay. For the most part. I mean, yeah, you could put him down in the post some.
But see, I think offensively, you can still move those guys around and do whatever you want to do, as long as both of them can shoot.
Yeah, if Obi hitting the way he's been hitting.
But that's the issue. I said if Randall is efficient.
Right.
Right? If he's not efficient.
My thing is, no, I'm saying if one of them is efficient. So if Obi is hitting, then Randall could spend some more time in the paint.
Down in the paint.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can Steph can they guard on the other side though? With that line.
I think Randall can, but this is the thing. That's a lot to ask of Randall. That's a big ask to guard small forwards. I've seen him do it in spots. Can he do it for an entire game though? There's some really, really good threes in this league,
right.
And he needs to be able to do that possession in and possession out.
Hey, Queen, don't worry. We'll take some of the other responsibilities
away from him. Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Because
and Obi, Sim, I watched him just on the defensive end. This defense right here, you can't start him. You cannot start him in his defenses right now. Right now, he's a one-way player, and it's bad. But if he shores that up, then yeah, probably do it.
Okay. Big Bubba. And make it, succinct, like to the point. You know what I mean?
I got you. Hell no. Hell no. No,
okay. Now tell us why.
This lineup is stupid. Stupid because there's no spacing. We're basing this. Okay, so Randall had an outlier year with the 41%. He's on average a 32% three-point shooter. No, RJ Barrett. I love RJ. I love him to death. But Lord have mercy, the efficiency. We got to figure this out with him too. And then with Obi, honestly, it's going to be Enes Kanter all over again. Just pick and roll him to death, and he's going to get picked. He's going to get torn up. I do agree with. I'm with Steph 100% this time with this because again, we're asking Randall, can he do it in spurts? Yes, he's great in spurts when it comes to switching on the guard, switching on the small forward. I don't know if we can do this for 482 games with Randall, and we don't even know how Randall's going to be next year. With his mentality, because to me it's all about his mental, and we don't know where that's gonna be with this. If this was a lineup,
I mean, listen. No matter what
that's
lineup,
what any lineup.
Well, no matter if he comes back, no matter what lineup, you don't know what he's gonna be right now. So we just, I don't know if that factors into if the lineup is good or not.
Yeah, and with Mitchell Simmons, it's and this is also tough because if we want RJ to be great, RJ needs spacing. This lineup, if this was a lineup, RJ would have almost zero spacing with this. Because this, to me, is too many streaky shoots. Even IQ. There's moments where IQ he goes cold and he just goes, he just does. This lineup is too mysterious for me.
So what's going to be the difference? What's going to be the difference if you have IQ and Obi starting with RJ and Mitch?
Because most likely,
why is that lineup not streaky?
Because most likely you're gonna have Evan Fournier,
who's also streaky.
Yeah,
but I would trust Evan. I trust Evan Fournier
I mean, he shot 38% or whatever.
Why? He just broke the record for most threes by a Knick in one season.
So?
I know.
What?
What do you mean? So what?
Does that mean that he's not
What do you
streaky?
mean?
Hold on. I mean, obviously he can shoot. We know that he shot like 38% this season, right? It doesn't mean that he's not streaky.
Okay, but that's it.
This is a guy.
That's mostly any. Hold on, but that's mostly any shooter though. But to have a guy to at least we know that's confident that has at least a 38 to almost close to 40% of shooting, I'll take that
from
guy
the three. But he also shot 40% from the field.
Okay.
All
right. But again, this lineup, to me, is just no space for RJ to even get into the lane because again, they're just going to be in the plane. They're most likely going to play more zone against this lineup. Because if you're gonna have Mitch or Sims starting, that again, no 3-point shooting. So for this, if this was a lineup, this by the way, Obi who's okay shooter, RJ's okay shooter, Randall, man, IQ.
Oh, wait a minute. You see, you.
What am I doing? Am I lying?
When it's Obi, okay, Obi's an okay shooter from the past couple of weeks, not for the season. So don't say shooter unless you know for sure. Because see this. No, wait a minute. Because you're making assumptions on what you've seen. So if you're going to make an assumption on what you've seen now, right, for the past couple of weeks, then make that assumption fully and say, okay, then he's going to shoot 40% from the 3-point line because that's about what he's doing right now. So now assume that he's going to be a 40% shooter in that lineup. So that's a guy that's shooting the ball then.
I mean, if you want to be technical, if you want to go throughout the whole season, then okay, we can make. I'll give Obi 34%. If we go into this line next year, I'll give Obi 30 because again, this is just unrealistic what he was doing. He's not going to be able to sustain that. So he'll be 34% IQ. He's a good shooter. RJ, right now we got to work on his efficiency. Randall, he's more of a 30% 3-point shooter. Again, Mitch and Sims are not giving that, so there's no spacing. Again, like I said before.
So we named 3 people. We named 3 people that are decent shooters, right? One who's shooting like 32%, and then of course one that's not shooting at all, right? I mean, no matter what lineup that you're going to put out there, Mitch or Sims is probably going to be out there unless they get a shooting 5. All right. I mean, if you go with Quickley and Obi and RJ, you're basically going with the same thing where you have just 3 guys that can actually shoot the basketball. You know what I mean? I don't know. I really think it depends on what happens on the defensive side. I'm not as worried about it on the offensive side. I'm more concerned about it on the defensive side. Josh? And then I'll come to Savvy and then Tony.
Sim, I agree with Isaiah here, and I'm worried about it on the offensive side. To me, the offense is the big question. That lineup absolutely has no space, and I can explain it way better than what Isaiah's trying to do. He said all this stuff about.
I like how you gave me a compliment. I like how you gave me a compliment and still took a shot.
I gotta build you up, then break you down like.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go all around the world with it, but the spacing is absolutely terrible from an offensive standpoint with that lineup. And then there's a lot of questions defensively, like you guys mentioned them. But no, I'm gonna tell you what, Sim, because it doesn't just matter about the percentage of as a shooter.
It doesn't.
It matters the type of shooter you are. Evan Fournier is a catch and shoot kind of guy.
I agree.
Emmanuel Quickley can be a catch and shoot kind of guy. Obi, I feel like he can develop into that. But to me, there's just so many question marks offensively, and I think the spacing will be totally off. You're asking Julius Randle to potentially play more on the perimeter, which I need him to get down low. To me, that lineup, I think it'll work for spot minutes here and there when we got foul trouble, or if you want to get Obi Toppin some more minutes. But to me, that lineup
and I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna tell you why.
And I think it has a lot of questions.
And I'm gonna tell you why I disagree, right? About it offensively. To me, it's more about it defensively because spacing is not just about the percentage that you make. It's about where you stand on the floor, where your coaches put you on the floor. That's as much. That has to do as much with spacing as your percentage that you make. You know what I'm saying? So if you are a competent shooter, the person that's defending you is going to pay attention to see. They're going to pay attention to you, and they're going to try to stay a little bit close to you because they know that you're competent enough to make that shot. So it does open the floor. If you want to open it up for RJ Barrett or Emmanuel Quickley to score, and you put Randall in the corner and Obi in the corner, and you got Quickley on a wing, right? And you have Mitch come and set a screen. You're opening it up for RJ to go to the basket, and if those guys pinch, Obi has shown you. I mean, if you're based on what he's doing right now, he's shown you he can knock down the three.
But I think that limits him also.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Yep.
Right? Not only that, you also have the lob threat from him, which is also going to spread the floor. All right, and it's going to open up corners because guys are going to pinch in, afraid that he might catch that lob when you have it in the correct sets. You also have someone who's really going to get up the floor, and IQ able to find him getting up the floor. Right? So I think it does add a bunch of different dynamics to the offense.
But you limit some of the players in that lineup, though, Sam. That's my thing. You're limiting.
Who?
I feel like you're limiting Julius by putting him on the perimeter. You're limiting him by having him out there. You're limiting.
I disagree. You've seen it this year. You've seen several times this year where Julius Randle was in the corner while RJ Barrett was penetrating to the basket, and he received.
But he was limited.
He received the kick out from RJ Barrett, and then did what he had to do with either Evan Fournier or whoever was on the wing to play that game. It's not limiting. Because you got 80-something shots in a game, right? If you're asking right now, if you're asking to bring in a point guard, Julius Randle's going to be limited in what he's been doing this year. He's going to be in the corner. Or he's going to be finding himself in the box. This doesn't mean it's going to be like that every single possession. But some possessions, it will be like that.
But there's a difference. If you bring in a point guard and you have Julius Randle on the floor, you can still throw the ball down to Julius Randle in the paint. Julius Randle can still go to the corner and all of that. While having him out there with Obi Toppin on the floor at the same time at the 3 and the 4 position with a center that's already in the paint, to me that limits
what's the difference with having Evan Fournier out there and him in the corner and Julius Randle in the corner?
No, because the difference is Evan Fournier is a spot-up shooter. You can get Evan Fournier the ball. He doesn't have to put the ball on the floor. But Julius Randle needs to put the ball on the floor.
We are assuming that Obi Toppin is going to knock it down from 3, say 35 to 40%. That's what we're assuming. That he's going to knock it down. What do you
As a spot-up shooter, though,
yeah.
I want to see more from Obi. I don't want Obi to just be limited to being a spot-up shooter.
No,
I believe Obi can do more than that.
But see, this is where
he's not stuck.
This is where I disagree. You don't have to do that every single play.
Yeah,
it's not every single play. I'm talking about if you wanted to spread the floor for RJ, you said this possession, RJ's going to penetrate. Okay, Obi, Randall, you guys go to the corner. IQ, you're out here on the wing. Spread out a little bit deeper, out closer to the half court so that we got more space for RJ to get to the basket. Mitch, you come set the screen for RJ.
To me, that's how you spread the floor. Spreading the floor with just shooters, that's a different way to spread the floor because you're saying the guys got to pay attention to the shooters. But with Sim saying, that's how coaches spread the floor.
No, I hear what Sim is saying, but I'm looking at that lineup, and I think Isaiah is correct. The shooting is extremely limited. Now, you have to assume that Obi Toppin turns into a 35 to 40% three-point shooter. You have to assume that that's something he can carry on. And what we're hoping he's going to be. But as of right now, I'm looking at that lineup, and I say there's a lot of holes in that lineup offensively. I would rather have a Fournier out there or a Grimes at the 3 or Cam Reddish out there at the 3 because they're a little bit more reliable on the perimeter.
I get it. We're talking about if Obi is what you're seeing right now. This is what we're talking about. If Obi is what you're seeing right now, can it work with those guys out there? I think it could work offensively.
Are we talking spot minutes like we're talking about going a small ball lineup, or are we talking about starting like the entire game?
I mean, I'm talking about that lineup. I don't know if we're talking about starting or spot minutes, but I think that lineup could work. Could it work? Could you sustain it?
Spot minutes.
Could you sustain it for a very long time? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not as worried about the spacing that way because I've said it a lot of times. Spacing to me is not just about shooting the basketball. When you're trying to create lanes for people to drive, it's not just about are you always making them. It's about where you stand on the floor. That has a lot to do for me with spacing.
And whether the defense respects you. So you have to be, respectable.
Respectable.
And I feel like IQ also has a talent for calling for good picks and being able to force defenders to maneuver around those picks that he calls to be set for him. And I feel like therein he could also create some driving lane opportunities for certain players to cut in, because what I see there really is 4 players who could score on the inside and the outside, right? And at any given time, if you have all 4 of those guys out there, one of them is going to be hit from outside. Okay, at least one. They ain't all about to go cold at the same time. Like that's going to be a very rare occasion, and I think this could work for a certain amount of minutes, a certain amount of rotations, right? And when it stops being a thing, you can elevate RJ back to the 3. You could sit Obi down, right? You bring Fournier back in. Fournier, to me, is a guy who, although like Isaiah said, he broke the 3-point record. You know, he's a very much a run and gun type of high-paced 3-point spot-up shooter who will still miss a wide-open 3, but you can use him here and there to alleviate the defensive pressure that comes to bear on other players who are hitting, who have been out there, who defenses adjust to, and therefore you can.
Is it Randall playing a 3 or Obi?
Well, defending. It's about defending the 3. It's not about playing on the other side.
I'm thinking about the offense.
On the offensive side, it's positionless, really. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to say Randall's the 3 or Obi's the 3 on the offensive side. It's about the other side of the ball.
Also, too, though, I will say this, too, because my thing is that we're talking defensively and guarding the 3. Really? With Randall? Like, seriously? With this dude that fall asleep and does the fake closeouts? I'm good on that. And again, right? Look, I go by.
But see, to me, I mean,
these assumptions is crazy.
Like to me, that's just to me. No. First of all, we can barely even hear you, so I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't know what you did or what you're doing. We don't see your camera or whatever, right? Can barely even hear you. But it's. You know what I mean? I mean, first of all, you don't know what the 3 is going to look like. You know, you can have smaller 3s, you can have bigger 3s. It's all going to depend on, what the size of that, you're going to look at that player.
Two power forwards have never worked in the NBA in the last 10 years. Sorry.
That's not true. Bro, nah, you just pulled that one out.
Hold on. Okay. Before you say it's not true, name them. Name them.
You said how long?
When you look at
two power forwards have not worked
when you look in the NBA right now.
Because I remember people talking Mason and Oakley vibes, but
hold on.
I'm looking at.
Hold on, I'm talking about the last 10 years.
Bro, you don't even know who's a power forward or who's a small forward nowadays.
Hold
exactly. Thank you, Cindy. Because I was gonna say, when I look at them, I see a dynamic, something akin to DeMar and Zach LaVine.
That's different.
I mean, they don't play like those guys.
Can handle the ball.
Two guys who could shoot and take it to the basket on the inside. Why is that? Skill-wise, it's not as.
Shoot, bro. What are we talking? Hold on.
Bro, we can't. Isaiah, we can barely hear you, man. So I don't.
The guy who's been draining threes for the last 2 weeks can't shoot. That's what you're saying, and you're gonna go and presume that for the future.
It's easier to interchange. It's easier to interchange a shooting guard and a small forward compared to a power forward and a small forward. That's two totally different things, Savvy. That's Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan comparison does not equal to Randall and Obi, particularly by the way they play. Two totally different things. Now, if Obi, gets his shot, I think it could work. I think it could work. But it's just too many questions surrounding that lineup as of right now. And then not to mention the defensive questions that we have, I just don't like it. Maybe in 5 minutes. You want to get Obi Toppin some more minutes, you throw him out there, get him out there for, 5 possessions a game or something like that. Cool. But to be a major fixture in the rotation, I just don't know about
I don't know. Tony, what's your thoughts, man?
I just don't understand how we see a shot falling and presume it's not going to fall going.
No, Savvy, it's not about that.
The sample size is small. That's why. The sample size is not that big. It could go either way.
Got to start somewhere, though.
That's a different issue. Yes, it has to start somewhere. But we're making our predictions based on a very small sample size.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, that's fair enough. I guess my first.
Savvy, let me get to Tony.
Sorry,
Let me get to Tony. Go ahead, Tony.
I'm confident in Obi's shot right now just because he's confident in his shot right now. And that makes the world of difference. You remember a few weeks ago, I said, I think the biggest thing that can change his game is that three-point shot falling. And all of a sudden, the three-point shots start falling, and now we're seeing it's opening up a world of opportunities for him. The pump fake and drive, open lane to the basket. And then he's showing he's savvy in maneuvering, like body movement, and going to the basket. He can create shots that way. And we're seeing him in the post now. You see teams putting small guys on him, and he's like, all right, just throw it over them. I'll get it. So I think it could work if, obviously, what we've seen in these past, 5 to 10 games from Obi is that if that's what we're going to get. And I think we are, because I think it's his confidence. I think when he said he's always had this, I believe him. It's just he wasn't confident. He's going to have to keep that same confidence. But to end the season the way he did, I don't think he comes back and reverts his mindset. I think the same way it clicked for RJ, the same way it clicked for IQ, I think it clicked for Obi right now. And I don't think he reverts.
But Randall, I don't trust Randall at the 3.
Me neither.
Kaiser Soul said we need the lineup to be IQ, Grimes, Barrett, Obi, Sims, or Mitch next season. That lineup plays well together. Grimes is that defender and shooter. I think that is a good lineup. You know,
that's a lineup.
I think that is a good.
Grimes gonna come in and complicate everything for everybody because he's so good like that. But I guess the core of my issue with some of y'all's rhetoric is that I just don't presume backwards progress. I presume forward progress. I don't think players naturally become worse the more they work on them.
But it's gonna be up and down. That's usually how development goes.
Right.
You know?
It's gonna be up and down.
Right.
It's gonna be up and down.
But that's why it's good to be adjustable.
Yeah, but it's just, again, right? I mean, to me, that lineup, that lineup just doesn't. Again, this Randall was just plain and simple. Randall was a bad defender, and he tries, but he's just a bad defender.
Okay. We've been over. Let me keep going. B-Baller for real. You said you guys are overthinking just to make Randall fit. No, actually, we're overthinking it. Really, assuming that Randall comes back to try to get Obi minutes. You know what I'm saying? That's what the overthinking is about. Is to try to make sure that we're trying to figure out how does Obi get his 30 minutes. That's where we're thinking about, right? Assuming that Julius Randle comes back. Now, if Julius Randle doesn't come back, then I don't think you have to worry about it.
Right. And that was a chat.
I'm a Knicks fan, buddy.
We didn't bring that up. That question came from the chat.
I'm a Knicks fan. I like to talk about the Knicks.
Fellas and Queen, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, I'm about to get up out of here myself, man.
Me too.
Hey, your black is time.
I told Josh. Yeah.
I'll see y'all tomorrow.
No doubt. I told Josh, I'll be like an hour. What's going on? It's 2.5 hours now.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? 2.5 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, let me see. 52% said no, the lineup don't work. 48% said yes, the lineup will work. You know what I mean? I doubt we're going to see that lineup anyway. But we didn't actually see that lineup. We seen a lineup where Randall was at the 3 and Taj Gibson was at the 4. Mitchell Robinson was at the 5. I think I've seen that, we've seen that several times throughout the season, based on, injuries and things like that. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, Tom Thibodeau probably felt more comfortable with Taj Gibson's defense. You know what I mean? Because, Taj is, a pretty good defender, especially defending 4s and 5s. But, most likely we're not going to see that lineup. But, if both of those guys are here next year, it's going to be interesting to see the way that Tom Thibodeau goes about it. And, people everyone is saying trade Randall, period. I don't think the front office is thinking trade Randall, period. I think they're still trying to figure out trying to figure this thing out. So everything is on the table. The only person that's probably not on the table is probably RJ. But everything else is, I'm sure, on the table for this front office, and they're going to try to find ways to think it through. See how it can work. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, AU. Oh, yeah, let me read AU Super Chat. I forgot all about it because, I forgot all about it. You know what I mean? AU, he said, thank you for the Super Chat, by the way, AU, I appreciate it. He said, 30 is good as gone. Thank you. You know what I mean? Everyone says that. Everyone is assuming that he's just gone. But I think they even talked about it in the telecast where they said everyone assumes that, it's either, I think Clyde was talking about it, where they would assume that it's, either Randall or Obi. And, he was like, these guys are teammates. You know what I mean? They got to find a way to make it work together. And, that's, could be much easier said than done. But we'll find out next year.
And I think Randall could benefit from playing 30 minutes and giving the other 18, 20 minutes to Obi. We don't got to put so much burn on dudes.
You could.
Worst case scenario, we wind up with the best bench in the league next season.
No, we will see, ladies and gentlemen. But tomorrow, we're going to talk about 5 questions the Knicks need to answer during the offseason. That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. And then, we're going to kick it off with keep him or dump him and all of that good stuff going into the offseason. All right. I do want to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, we got the NBK draft party going on June 23rd in Atlantic City. So I'm putting a link in the chat. Please make sure that you put your name on a list so I can contact you when it's time to purchase the tickets. All right, it's going to be dope. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a live podcast. Obviously, we're going to watch the draft together. We'll have basketball game going on, from people who want to play, NBK panel members. You know what I mean? Isaiah, hopefully he's in shape because I'm ready to crack his ankles up a little bit.
Brother, let me tell you something, brother. I've been training for this since the last time.
Yeah, I know. That's what you said last time, too. We see what happened then. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you know what? We'll get some last words, then we'll get up out of here. Josh, any last words before we go?
Yeah, I mean, even though the season didn't go as well as people expected it to go, I still think there was some positives that came from this season. The kids got a lot of chances to play towards the end. And I just like the development and the growth, and I like where the organization is going from that standpoint. I'm comfortable with Tibbs' mentality and how he, coaches the young players. And now that we've seen what they can do on the floor when they get extended minutes, I'm fully expecting those minutes to be extended onto next season. So I'm excited about that, and can't wait to kick off this offseason with y'all and get some good content out, and let's do it.
All right. Steph?
It's going to be a great content.
Yeah, I mean, disappointed in the season, but excited about the off season, creating content with you guys, talking about the season, the draft party. And it's always a pleasure being with NBK. It was a good season for us, I think. And don't forget Queen's Court, 8:00 tomorrow, and we'll further break down this season as well.
And you're going to have a dope soul video, right?
Yes,
tomorrow?
I'm going to have a dope soul video. I don't know about tomorrow. I don't know if I want to talk about this game, but I am going to put up a video soon about the season.
Okay.
And but I'm going to do a lot of chat shows, keep them and dump them, because we'll be talking about it as a panel. But when we do the chat shows, basically the same content, but the chat will get an opportunity to hop on. I'll drop the link, also call in and give their take on keep them or dump them as well.
Yeah, no doubt. That's dope.
Hey.
Darren Wayne said he hopes that the Sim versus Big Bubba game is broadcast. Yeah, we he probably don't want it broadcast so he can lie. You know what I mean?
Hey, stay tuned for that, brother. Don't want you worry.
Yeah, man.
I'm the official bookie for that game.
Some last words.
Go ahead and play some.
Now, can Savvy go? Can go? Cause I gotta sappy. I gotta be sappy for a little bit.
Oh my gosh, go ahead, Savvy. Yeah. Oh, elementary school kid stuff. Go ahead, Savvy.
Well, subscribe to the Dope Soul channel. It's fantastic content in the short form. You're not going to hear guys like me and Zay rambling on and on, into the psychosphere and about all of our takes. It's very short form content. Listen to it on your drive to work during your morning routine. It's good stuff. And it's food for thought. Like, I was thinking about different angles of the season when she was rattling off, the overview of her takes about certain things. I was like, that's a good point. But back on the culture aspect of this team, I'm a heathen non-believer. On the court, I love some Jesus. And the fact that we got two young boys who believe in God and love them some Jesus and go to church and go to the gym together, man, it's just a beautiful thing. You can tell these are the two golden boys going forward that we really elevated, not only in terms of minutes, but also in terms of media presence, because we had to counteract some of the thumbs down feel that came over the team, and I feel like just having that bond, that duality, that we love New York, we love the fans, we're getting chants in opposing teams' arenas. I think it's a very beautiful place to be in going forward. Coming at the end of a disappointing season, I don't think we could have asked for much better of an ending. NBK all day,
given the circumstances.
Right.
No, of course, because truth be told, I would like to have seen Cam Reddish and Quentin Grimes be able to finish out the season along with our guys, but they'll be back and ready for action next time. Stay tuned for some of the hottest off-season and draft season content that you'll see on the Knicks. Keep it locked.
No doubt about that. All right, Big Bubba, man. It's on you.
Yeah, I got to be sappy. I got to be sappy for this, though, man. So, I like to do this at the end of the year, man. I know we all joke about, we all joke and stuff, but, I get so happy, and I'm always so proud of you, man, for what you've done, for where you've been from start from 2017 to really, how we expanded the family, and this is really a family to me. You know what I'm saying? Even though I don't like Josh that much. But nah, I love Josh. I really do. I love Josh. But I really do get so proud of you, man, because you're a very humble dude, man. And you're such a true leader, man, because you really step back and let other people be great. You know what I'm saying? And we know how this stuff goes around YouTube. Everybody want to be number one. Everybody want to be shining. But you really, 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 between, just with Steph, with Tony, with Guillermo, with Josh, even with me, and, a lot of other people, man, you just really opened up a gate for a lot of us to really be who we are. And you allow us to be who we are. You allow us to really, just shine, and you just really, you take it all in, man. You step back and you do your thing, and just the man you are. You're really a great man, for real.
Appreciate that,
and
man.
For real, man. You do it every year, man. It don't matter if we suck, if we good, if we mid. You come on here.
Been a lot of sucky years.
yeah. We had a lot of sucky years, man. It's really amazing, man. Like for even everybody in the chat, man. That everybody that comments on these chat, man. Like we really family. Like when you have you could have did a whole different way, bro. And it just be, just you on here, but you really extended your arms out to everybody, and now we all really just like family. And it's like, it's crazy, man. Like I got more brothers. I got a big sis and stuff because of you, man. And of course, you're my big brother. So it's just like I'm really proud of you, man. And you
Appreciate
did it again.
Man.
Thank you, Smith. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man. With that said, very well said. Very well said.
And Tim got patience because he gave a platform to Kevin.
Oh yeah, no, listen. For Sim to invite Kevin and Mark, listen. No, but seriously though, Sim, I love you, bro. And a lot of people here, pretty much everybody loves you, man, except some of the trolls. But we'll deal with them later. But man. Again, another season down, and we got a lot more to go, baby.
Let's go. Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. And we'll talk to you tomorrow.
The best to ever do it. And don't be humble about it. So you are the best Knicks YouTuber here. I don't care what nobody says.
Past the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Nick.